faucet up drained. Didn't plan on losing my heart tonight, but on that greasy rooftop it all felt right. On the roof of the Waffle House, love gets loud. While Dixon's in the kitchen, we escape the crowd. He might motorboat me like a big old beast, but Lord have mercy, he smells like yeast. Might not be forever, might not be clean, but on that rooftop, I'm his queen. Don't wear pride, we climb that ladder just to let it ride. No white picket fence, no wedding ring, but the way you touch me makes the rafters sing. On the roof of the Waffle House, love gets wild. While Dixon's in the kitchen, we escape the crowd. He might motorboat me like a big old beast, but Lord have mercy, he smells like yeast. Might not be forever, might not be clean, but up on that rooftop, I'm his queen. Dentures, I don't wear pride. We climb that ladder just to let it ride. No white picket fence, no wedding ring, but the way you touch me makes the rafters sing. Oh, leave the minivan, leave the 9 to 5, hop in your Beetle, let's feel alive. With Dixon, fried bacon, and the jukebox on. We found the kind of love you don't feel wrong. On the roof of the Waffle House, love gets wild. All two broken hearts, lost but proud. But tonight on this rooftop, he's my beast. My wreck, my home, my break routine. But on that dirty rooftop, I'm his queen. I'm his queen.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, whoever you are, what if any you might be. And welcome to day 2 in the pregnant paramour unaliver case. Yesterday, we didn't get a lot of he did it. We got a lot of this happened to her, and we saw his interview, and that was about it. The only thing that kind of was we think this guy did it yesterday was he was looking for a ghost gun. I think that was about as hard evidence as we had, which was kind of surprising after the opening statements. The opening statements to me seemed like there's going to be fire. We still need the nephew. The nephew, I think, will be probably the last. Currently, we are having the lead detective on the stand. We already had the medical examiner, the crime scene analyst. We're going to get some DNA, I think, and then we need the nephew, because apparently he spilled the beans to the nephew a lot. So far, have they proven it? In my opinion, no. Is there a likelihood that he did it? Well, we don't even at this point have DNA evidence that the kid was his. So we'll have to see what happens today. And thank you for becoming a member, Lucie Snake with his. I don't like snakes. I have not watched all of day 1. Should I go back and watch the rest? Stringer, yes, because it helps my my view count. But if I can make a deal with you, you go and watch 2 of my shorts from when I had my guest host on. I'll make that, because I never get any views on my shorts videos. I think they're good. But no, yesterday was a whole lot of laying foundation, putting evidence in, and nothing else really. There wasn't any. This is why we believe he did it yesterday. It was all foundational. I have 2 goats named Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Do you know that actually Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kids were two famous Western criminals. Funny that you named your goats that, because there's actually a movie. I believe Robert Redford, who just passed away today, is one of them, but I could be wrong. I haven't watched that movie in a long time. I think the ending is a bit weird. Do they make it? Don't they make it? Urban legend says some people saw, I believe it was the Sundance Kid, years after the Bolivian army was supposed to have unalived them. Oh yeah, Danny G. I won't ruin it for you, but apparently they go to Bolivia and they get shut up down there. But amazing that you named your goats that, and they are actually real people. But I don't know if you knew that. Thank you. Hey, Josh. Waiting to hear the garbage truck audio. So far, I don't see much evidence. Bridget, we need the DNA, and we need that nephew to put all the things together, and we need some people who saw them, because according to the newspaper, but again, this is that's why I don't really like doing these pre-shows to trials, because we have all these expectations, because the newspaper said this, the newspaper said that, and then you're sitting here thinking, I haven't proved shit. Is he really innocent? And you start getting into that, we can't trust anything. There was some trash talk. Yes. Either in the building or outside. But the dead person be a hoe, and his wife apparently fires people. Thank you. Sundance Kid is Robert Redford. See? Isn't that amazing that you named your two goats and actually it's real people you named them after, not knowing that? That's funny. Well, potentially rest today. They are aiming for it, but it could maybe lead into tomorrow. So I'm kind of hoping. Again, they were supposed to have started 3 minutes ago. They're not good at starting at time. Redford was 89. Yeah, he was a great actor. Is it true that Tanya was buried in a Y-shaped coffin? No. Am I the hoe? Well, I don't know. Are you in Idaho? Hey, anime, you were missed yesterday. Slidey was asking for you. Oh, we just had video from. Oh, now it comes back. I don't know what's up there. Like Danny T, I think I have to correct you on some mistakes. Back in the olden days, I believe we're talking about Caesar. They fixed the weekdays. Monday was yesterday. Then Tuesday is today. Tomorrow is Wednesday, named after Odin. Isn't it wonderful? Thursday, named after Lindsay Gitani, because she puts thirst traps on Twit, so people can say, oh, she's kind of hot. I'll bang her. Oh, another restraining order in my future. Again, this is a full inclusive show where I will fill your knowledge banks with stuff you didn't know. You're Charlie Kirk. No, he's a guy. Had a very busy day at work yesterday. Today won't be much better. Well, if Slidey comes in looking for you, I will say that you're working like yesterday. No, it's Thursday, because thirst traps. Hey, therapist, China doesn't have week or weekend, and stay a week is 15 days with 1 day off. That explains a lot. They don't have time zones either. Every clock runs on Beijing time, which means that a country that's bigger than America, and I believe covers 7 time zones, all runs at the same time. So someone, while they are sitting down eating dinner in Beijing, is getting up and going to work in the most left part. It would be wonderful if everyone would just run on Danish time.
Witness stand? Okay, let's put Detective Newman back on the witness stand. Well, actually, the judge have him come into the courtroom because he's going to need to be resworn. Any other issues to address before we get restarted? From the
Oh,
defense?
thank you, Laurie.
Okay, very good. Have you all communicated further about your scheduling if necessary, or? Okay.
We're going to have to take a deposition during the lunch break.
Okay.
If Esquire is available.
I'm going to boost the audio on that part because they're talking about the schedule. Shut up. Let's just go back in here.
Address before we get restarted? From the defense?
Not at this time.
Okay, very good. Have you all communicated further about your scheduling if necessary, or? Okay,
We're going to have to take a deposition during the lunch break.
okay.
We have to take a deposition right at the lunch break. Was that what she said? Sorry, we're going to catch up. I'm just going to boost it even more so I can hear what she says.
If necessary, or? Okay,
We're going to have to take a deposition during the lunch break.
okay.
If Esquire is available.
That would be me.
Okay, I didn't know if you had somebody else that could relieve you.
No, I don't, unfortunately. Wow, okay.
Alternatively, I think that we could maybe do it this afternoon. I just won't have time to get a transcript done.
Okay, well, just let me know. We'll address it. We have the jurors. They're on the way up. Okay. Let me go off the record momentarily.
So what she was talking about was they need a deposition today. It sounded like that was the defense talking. So they're going to do a deposition, potentially a lunch break, but there's only one court reporter, so she's kind of hoping she's not going to do it. But they potentially could do it this afternoon, but you don't know when the state is going to end. That's what I heard. Hey, Zachary. But we're still with the lead detective. This guy should have learned the basic rule. Shut the fuck up. Because he signed over everything to the police, and I'm just trying to help. I don't think he knew what was really going on, but he signed every piece of paper they put in front of him. And I still love, how are you going to take the DNA? Hopefully not with a needle. No, we're just going to swap your cheek. Oh, I know that. That's how I found out my son was mine. That's a good dad right there when you figure out who your kid is after you go to court with a DNA swab. And I love that he said it very shortly after. Oh, I go to church and I help out in church. That life is behind me. Apparently not that far behind you. Bum, bum, bum. Maybe it's a new witness. Maybe it's something special. Maybe it's to qualify someone. I don't know. Hey, Nurse Kimberly from the Sunflower State of Kentucky. Yeah, that wasn't Kentucky. Yeah, I think it's Kentucky. But yeah, I don't know. Kansas, as I always said, the Sunflower State is Kansas, even though it's mostly known for being flat, I think. What do I know? Kansas. No, Kansas. They have an Indian basketball team, the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, that's the basketball. No, baseball. It's one of their sports teams. Is an Indian-run team because it's called Kansas City Chiefs. Move on. Hey, 80s. Yes, football. Anyone watch that? Fedorowski, what was the name of that movie with Goldie Hawn? Football. That was a funny movie. And there were booblets in it. They do. And they named their dog Toto, which is weird because that's a band that sings about rain in Africa. You don't know everything, but we know something like that. Hey, Teresa. Wildcats. Yeah, that was a good movie. Football. Was the daughter drunk or high? I think she was drunk. Yeah, because she puked after. That was a funny movie. Hey, Stace. We're not jumping off hot with Dissuasion today. Come on, let's go. Put your phone away, you're in court. You're not allowed to bring out your phone in our courtrooms. Woody Harrelson and it wasn't Denzel Washington, it was Blade. The guy who, why can't I remember his name now? The guy who played with him in White Man Can't Jump. Wesley Snipes. Yes, Wesley Snipes. Oh, look at here. Kim just slaps Rianne in the face with her swasher. You can do better. But no, I think she was drinking. I haven't watched that movie in a million years. I remember it was good. Maybe I was wrong. Well, we have had a few hot streaks for Swayze the last couple of days.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. It's always my custom, particularly in cases such as this that are high-profile cases, even though I know I sound like a broken record, to always remind you the beginning and the end of court session. Make sure you don't get exposed to any extrajudicial information about the case.
That was a bad
Don't
movie.
talk to anyone, including your fellow jurors, about the case. Don't do any research about the case and avoid all media reports of the case. We're going to continue where we left off yesterday. And Detective Newman, if you could come forward and be resworn for today's court session and take the stand, we'll continue with your direct examination.
The hip abductor, that's the bad girl, right? Or is it the good girl? It's one of the girls. That's why you should follow me on Discord, where I update when I go live. I swear.
And you may inquire of Detective Newman.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Just for the record, state your name again, spell it.
Christopher Newman. Last name is Newman.
All right, we wrapped up yesterday with the defendant's interview.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and as part of speaking to the defendant, did you learn that he was married at the time of this case?
Yes.
Okay, who was he married to?
Debbie Escalera.
Okay, and as part of your investigation, do you also then interview other people that may know potential suspects or witnesses in the case?
Absolutely.
And does part of your investigation also then involve doing subpoenas or issuing search warrants for phone records?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And as part of your investigation, did you obtain, and I know you asked in the interview, you asked the defendant for his phone number. Did you also get the victim's phone number in this case?
Yes.
Okay. And did you also get Deborah Soto-Escalera's phone number?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Do you recall what her phone number was?
I believe it's 989.
And for now, I don't have any other questions. Thank you, Detective.
Couldn't we have finished that yesterday?
During your interview with my client, he consented to give a sample of his DNA, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
I'm sorry?
I said, yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning. And he also consented to a search of his phone, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And he also consented to a search of his truck, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you let him leave with the truck
Yes,
after
ma'am.
the search?
Yes, ma'am.
So he took it home.
Yes, ma'am.
And during the course of your investigation, you talked a little bit with the state about that. You learned that Tanya was also seeing somebody by the name of Bradley Rodriguez, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you learned that Tanya's mother, Tanya actually lived with her mother and Bradley Rodriguez, right?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Bradley and Tanya lived at Tanya's mother's house.
Yes, ma'am. Briefly.
Okay, and that Bradley was kicked out of Tanya's mother's house in March of 2018 because Bradley was violent with Tanya.
Yes.
And you learned that Bradley was possibly one of the fathers, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You also learned that there was another potential father of the baby by the name of Mark Burke, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you learned through the course of your investigation that Mark Burke actually had a turbulent relationship with Miss Wise. Is that correct?
As I recall, yes, ma'am.
And that he had actually abused her and was arrested, correct?
I don't recall if he was arrested for abuse. I can't recall that, ma'am.
Okay, if I showed you your supplemental report, would it refresh your recollection?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'm going to object at this point with your approach.
KP has never been on this channel. I've tried multiple times to get Marissa to invite her on. Marissa is a misogynist, so she doesn't want strong women to be represented on this channel. Lucie County and Kate Peters are people I wish I could have on, but Twisted Trailer Trash have been running the channel over the weekend because, as my female mod group told me, Fatso, leave it to a woman. They can do it better. And looking at the numbers, she did pretty well. And as always, my women are the smartest. Abductor is legs opening and adductor is closing. Well, good girl and bad girl. We don't want contagions on the channel. You just don't like strong women. Typical misogyny. She was a hoe, not gonna lie. Well, still doesn't give you the right to unalive her just because she's a little slutty slut. It's not like that case in Texas. Sometimes someone needs a little killing. So no, it's I don't know where Kate has been. Again, me and Marissa were the only two people watching her last hearing. And of course, you wonderful people who were watching it on the channel, but no one else really picked up that she went to court and she had gone kind of off the map. Was it a Friday she went to court? And I think the 2 days leading into that, she just disappeared from the twit-twat. And she hasn't been back to the twit-twat under her crusty name. She's probably under one of her 47,000 other sub accounts. But the good old crust herself hasn't been seen since, I believe it was 2 days before the hearing that we watched on the channel. Miss, you didn't miss much. The lead detective was just asked. They live together, yeah. Another guy was banging her as well, yeah. And then we have a sidebar. Why don't you just interview a pigeon? Better conversation and still get chlamydia. Jamie will be doing Birds on a Budget this Saturday at 12 noon. Jamie is the one who likes the feathered folk. No, she's not banned. I've looked at her account. Her account is still up. Everything is fine. And she hasn't replied to anything or written anything. Not one word about the Wilbur show. And you know she was sitting at home biting into the doorframe just because of the anger that Aiden claims he sold the show out, but in reality he bought the show himself and gave it away. That's the new conspiracy they have to run with. And it's still idiotic. But no, she's not banned because...
Let me ask you to please step back into the jury room. There's an issue you need to address out of your presence. Please don't discuss the case with each other. We'll be with you momentarily.
Her last post was to Nick Rocco. Cool, then why did you lie to the public and hide that Karen Reed sent Aiden Carney witness address as part of the conspiracy to send a mob of lunatics to the homes of the state's witnesses testifying against her? You're part of the cover-up, Nikki. You and that smug, bald fuck, Boston defender, and of course the client fucker himself, Alan J. Jackson. Don't any of you think I'll ever let you forget it? That's the last statement she ever made. The client fucker himself, Alan Jackson, because that's another one of their conspiracies. Oh, they're banging. Yeah.
Jury has exited. Just so I can clarify where I'm coming to, also, this is not directly in reference to what we were discussing at the bench, but I did give this some thought at some point during the trial that the reason I would allow this to, it's much like if it's reverse Williams rule. If the roles were reversed, domestic violence, killing, the history between the parties, it becomes admissible. So who wanted to inquire of the detective on this point as far as whether there's a public record as far as that
I
arrest?
just ran Mark Burke with his date of birth for his CCIS, and I don't see any arrest for domestic violence with a misdemeanor battery.
Since the jury's out, Detective Newman, what they're trying to figure out is in your report, apparently you had some information about that person being arrested for domestic violence. We were trying to distinguish whether that was based on hearsay that somebody told you, whether there's actually a public record of the arrest that you discovered in your investigation. If you know that off the top of your head, which you probably don't based on what you previously said. That's what they're trying to figure out.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I don't recall that. I remember there was a fraud case from Port St. Lucie that we actually had a report number from. I don't recall any domestic violence getting a report for anything for that. So.
So with that, anything else on the proffer? I would sustain the objection because it does look like it's based on hearsay and there's no actual basis for his personal knowledge as far as there being an actual arrest in that regard.
Judge, can I, at the time
Sure.
during your investigation, Mark Burke was under charges, had been arrested for charges with Tanya for a fraud case?
Yes, and I can't recall the case number, but I believe we did get a copy of that. I think it was Port St. Lucie Police that did the case on that.
And they were co-defendants?
I believe they were co-defendants, yes, ma'am.
Did you learn during your investigation that Tanya was afraid of Mark Burke because of that case?
There might have been people saying that, but with the amount of contact she was still having with him and meeting up with him when he still had an active warrant, I didn't really take that as she was afraid of him.
No, I don't want you to misinterpret what I was saying. If you wanted to ask him about that.
Mega motion hasn't been filed yet. Aiden claims that it will be today. What is it you say? If everything goes well and the creek doesn't rise or whatever this saying is. Sadly, Wallstorm is working, or he could tell me because he's from the south. But there could be maybe something needed changing, or they need to add something. So, but we have a bolo out on it. Marissa and Jemima will be keeping at least half an eye on if we can have access to it at some point. It will probably be the redacted version. We won't get the full version because there will be a lot of fun stuff in there, most likely. And we will, of course, cover it as we can have access to it. Probably gonna, if it's gonna be filed today, it won't be locked in the system. So we will we'll probably get it later. But maybe Aiden can, I don't know if he can make it available to certain parties. I'm probably not one of those parties because I'm the small fish.
That situation.
Yes.
I'm not precluding that because
Yes.
that's a separate motive situation. I just didn't want something to come in that was hearsay from an
God
arrest
willing, and the creek
happen
don't rise.
through the other domestic violence arrest. So I'm not precluding that.
Yes, sir.
And the state's objection wasn't to that. But just to be sure, I don't know if you heard that, there's, as far as the arrest with regard to the fraud situation, that being a separate motive, I'm not precluding that.
Well, and I guess my question, because I'm looking at the fraud case, and it says that Mark Burke wasn't even arrested on a warrant in the fraud case until August 27, 2018. So she's already murdered by the time he's arrested.
But he knew that the arrest warrant was out based on the evidence he was hiding out at Tomlinson's.
Or there's an inference that he knew of the global situation and it's a possible motive involved.
Well, I mean, there's no evidence of that that's been introduced in this trial so far, but.
He's about to introduce it.
Right. All right, so, but the original objection was to the domestic violence arrest, which we've covered. There is no such arrest. So I'll sustain the objection as far as hearsay on that. It appears to be erroneous hearsay information from somebody else. All right, so I think we've at least made some headway clarifying where we are, right?
Yes,
Well,
sir.
and I guess, so when I redirect him, are we permitted then to be like, so is there some domestic violence arrest between Mark Burke that you're aware of between him and the victim?
No,
And he's gonna say no,
don't do that.
because now the jury thinks that they got sent out of the room after. she
Well,
asked this
that's
question.
up to you. I could instruct them to disregard the question because he didn't answer it in the affirmative. He said, I don't know.
I know.
Yeah, that's up to
My
you.
concern is that obviously the appearance of objection gets sent out of the
It's
room.
just part of standard
Right.
litigation trial stuff that happens.
We'll address what we're
Right,
gonna do then. when
right.
we-
And otherwise, you're left with the argument that there's no evidence of that. There was just a question. The classic voir dire that I've heard 1,000 times where, didn't I prosecute you for, I think this is your own voir dire. Didn't I prosecute you for this the other day? No, you didn't. That's the question versus the answer. All right, let's bring in the jury and we'll continue.
So the defense tried to get in there that there was a domestic that wasn't on his record. Maybe check stuff like that before, just because someone mentioned it in a police report. If you don't have the arrest warrant or any court documents, you're going to lose that in front of the jury. That's not smart. Aiden said this morning it's because all of the redaction, that's what's taking so long. Yeah, it's going to be a whole heck of a lot of editorializing in a big motion like that. But I don't know when they have served it to court if they can then give the press a redacted copy. If not, we will be waiting till it's on the Massachusetts official website and we can go through it and see. Some of it will probably not be as interesting as other parts, just like Lucie County's phone records. Not all of it is that important when she hates her mom or when she lets Krusty look after her kids. It's kind of like saying, hey, there's a great white shark out in the ocean. Maybe it can take care of my puppy while I'm sunbathing.
And Detective, if you could scoot closer to the microphone.
I
as well, we
am
have- there is may
at
have some difficulty.
19.1.
Karen, you please continue.
No,
cross-examination.
just under 19.1.
You're welcome.
Sir, in the course of your investigation, you learned that Mark Burke had an active arrest warrant at the date of the murder for a fraud case. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that his co-defendant in that case was actually Tania Wise?
Yes, ma'am.
And that Miss Wise was afraid of him because of that case. Is that correct?
Well, there had been people that had said that, but she had had numerous contacts with him after he had an active warrant, and she never turned him in and met with him on a regular basis. So I didn't know how afraid of him she was.
Okay, and when was the last time she had seen Mark Burke, to your knowledge?
I believe when I interviewed Mr. Burke, he said it was the week of her disappearance, and she had performed oral sex on him in his car.
Okay, and I think during your
What?
Mark Burke, to your knowledge.
I believe when I interviewed Mr. Burke, he said it was the week of her disappearance, and she had performed oral sex on him in his car.
Okay, and I think during your direct with the state that you said
I need to win the lottery today. We have roughly $100 million because apparently roadhead is really prevalent in America. I can't even get househead. I'm moving to America.
Ms. Wise had been talking to a person by the name of Giovanni Alvarado, that you learned that. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and actually she was supposed to, on the night of her murder,
Remember
meet
to
up
pay the
with
guy,
Giovanni
Brandon.
Alvarado. Is that correct?
That's what several people were saying, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that during the course of your investigation, you also learned that a gentleman by the name of Jared Christie had dropped her off at her mother's house on the night of her murder. Is that correct?
That would be, I mean, because that was Mr. Casino, right?
Correct. He goes by the street name Casino, but
Yes,
his
ma'am.
legal name is Jared Christie.
Yes, ma'am.
And during the course of your investigation, you got a DNA sample from Bradley Rodriguez Jr. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you got a sample of DNA from Giovanni Alvarado, correct?
I believe so, yes, ma'am.
And you got a DNA sample from Mark Burke, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you get a DNA sample from Jared Christie too?
I don't recall.
Okay, you don't remember if you got that one?
Thank you, Lefty. There's at least 40 chicks in the chat right now that would get you road dome. Well, again, I know we are bigger on average than American guys, but those 6,000 miles makes a difference. It can't reach that far. Well, just let me win like a 10th of the main, then I can have like a summer residence over there and just get road domed out. I don't have to call me Jesus.
Ma'am.
I have no further questions for this witness.
No questions. Subject to recall. Thank you, Detective Newman. You may step down. You're subject to recall by the attorneys. Please make sure they have contact information for you. And the state's next witness or item of evidence.
Yes, sir. The people of the state of Florida call, excuse me, Agent Kelly D.P. Trantonia.
What movie was that? That was American Gods, where they had a car accident. What was his name? The guy who was in prison and came out and started helping Wotan, which is Odin. And they found his junk in her mouth because maybe Baker wants it from the TT lady. No. I know if I should choose any of the trash out of the Massachusetts, I would rather get it from Lucie County because her reviews are pretty good. And she still kind of looks human, not like a beached whale like the other two. Well, Jamie, it's Tuesday. Hey, Renee. It is a good Christian channel. In the Bible, it says, go out and let your seeds multiply. So it's condoned by the good Lord. There's that little snafu about not doing it with your neighbor's wife, but I'm dyslexic. I can't read everything.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, there's another issue we need to address out of your presence. Please proceed to the jury room. Don't talk to each other. Make yourself comfortable in there, and we'll be with you as soon as we can. Don't talk about the case.
Why the hell are we sending the jury out constantly? Jesus, Lefty. You know, Jamie is way closer to you than you think. She will hurt you. Hey. O-line red, you don't
So
want to
Ms.
know.
Mick is
Jamie
gonna
went
look at the,
inappropriate again.
Thumb drive to be sure it has the contents that were agreed upon.
Thank you so much, Brandon. You should save those monies for your doctors instead. And your roadhead. giver. But on Tuesdays, we do chest because if you want to get a Portuguese snowblower while MG Law is out taking care of your business with his lawnmower, your pecs better be effing swole. Is Val even a mod anymore? Talk about shell shock. I did pecs yesterday, so they are on flake. Should be able to pop them, but thank you so much, Brandon. And I don't know what Valhalla has been. I don't know what he's doing. He's going around in his backyard burning his stick collection. Yes, he has a stick collection. But thank you so much. Well, I have been punished by Jamie. You should be. Don't laugh at Jamie. She will also hurt you. She doesn't care.
We may have other matters in that we're being abundantly cautious in that regard, taking the extra step to make sure there's no error introduced in the trial by inadvertently introducing something that wasn't intended. It's going to take some time to do that. Should we take a break while you do that, or stay on the record? Being on the record might put more pressure on you, right?
Thank you, Judge.
So we'll go off the record.
Whoop. Well, talk amongst yourself, class, because we just started and they can't get this going. I leave for 5 minutes and come back to you all worshiping a golden calf naked. No, Brandon is naked going to Orlando. Jamie apparently was known as Half Mile. I want to win the lottery and go to America because apparently every guy gets roadhead over there. And the court is really not doing much today. And rest in peace, Robert Redford, who, funny enough, gave a name to one of Danny's goats. Even though Danny didn't know her goats actually was named the same as a movie character. But weird coincidence. Let's do the daily check. Chickity check. Yep, free healthcare for the rest of the year still. Congratulations. Welcome to socialism. Are you going to get the same rules as us? Yeah, we can't help you. You have to wait online for 2 years before we get to you. The teacher just can't keep the kids from fighting in this class. No, I try to run a decent show. Oh, by the way, I'm getting hot under the collar. I just saw the sentencing in, I believe it was in Florida, of another woman who felt the need to bang a minor. What the hell is wrong with you American teachers who are like 7s and 8s? Why are they banging all these young kids? This lady was banging her stepson. Yes, I know it's big on the internet. Oh, stepson, I got stuck. But don't do it in reality. Don't F your effing stepson. What a horrible piece of carabiola this lady is. And she took a plea deal. So how much would a man get if he had raped his stepdaughter? Probably a lot more than the 2 years this lady got. 2 years. Well, it's a man. He probably liked it. No, you're a creep. Horrible person. Well, all boys likes a little. Yeah, but this guy's going to live the rest of his life with his stepmom groomed him into banging her. We're always talking about, oh, these demonic priests, so good we got them. I was just looking at it because I felt this, it's all the time we hear about it. And there's constantly cases that you can refer to. And again, we are not talking about Eliza Bennett or Krusty Panties. We're talking about pretty married women who then thinks, I want an unexperienced 14-year-old running around on top of me, treating them like he's trying to get radio to pick up a signal from China. What the hell is wrong with these women? And what's wrong with these judges who gives them no time? I am a true feminist. Equal effing rights. If a woman does it, don't give them the 70% rebate that most cases show they get. Give them exactly the same that a man would get. Well, she has to be on the register for 10 years. She should be in prison for 10 years. If it had been a man, you would have been out here with torches and pitchforks trying to get him unalived. Well, she was pretty hot. I wouldn't have minded if it was me who got a ride on that cycle. Let's find that yacht. I'm angry now. Why the hell didn't it? Why can't I see those two videos? Did they remove it? They probably effing removed it. She was just sentenced this morning. Did they remove that video? I think they effing removed it. So we can't even see that hoe back. No, they took it off YouTube. Well, isn't that funny? Of course they took it off YouTube. So we can't see it. Isn't that funny? That one didn't. That video didn't stay up. No, they only have the. Well, this one was a nurse, known as the horny nurse, who banged her stepson. It's funny. No, it's not. It's child abuse. Please maintain the au pair exemption. Everyone learns together. Brandon, when you were 14 years old and Helga was over and was 19 years old. But if you are 34 years old and a teacher and you think you need a 14-year-old guy go deep sea diving after the peanut, you should just jump off the planet. Yeah, I was trying to do some research on it because I got angry and there's a lot of this out there. Fake mod val banner, please. Do I have it? This one. Of course. There you go. You paid for it today. Well, you paid for it for a long time, so you can probably get it running from 2026 as well. No, I haven't watched the 90210 since the 90s. That kid will forever have warped mind that will affect any healthy relationship. Yeah, but still, because it's a boy, oh, he probably liked it. If it had been a girl, oh, how horrible. No, it's horrible for both of them.
Records of the victim and of the defendant, is that right?
Allegedly.
Okay, allegedly.
So we'll start with the T-Mobile records first. In the T-Mobile records, there.
Hold on a second, we have the cadet issue here. How many cadets do we have like this?
31.
Okay. And what do you think of when the defense had an objection to them coming in, but I don't know if you do, now that you see what they look like, I'm not sure you would associate that with law enforcement. They look more like a No offense, they look more like a church group to me.
YouTube is having a lot of problems running both lives and videos. I have seen it on multiple channels today, even playing live. So yes, I might have clipping. I can't do anything. Mo had the same problem yesterday, but thank you for telling me.
So no problem with them coming in. Just look like students. I could even tell the jury that the people you see in the back are just students coming for educational purposes, if that makes you feel better. They're just wearing a shirt for the record. That's
I think
like,
it's going to be all right, Judge.
Okay.
Do you know how long these young people will be with us today?
they usually stay for an hour or two, right?
Yes, there'll be one more class, but they will not be dressed this way.
Oh, okay, great. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, so you can come in, that's fine.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir.
They've come in
Oh, we have
before this
school class
gentleman here,
coming in.
who's a teacher. He's coming before other trial. All right, so back to our business on the item and evidence, Ms. Minton.
Judge, I just realized that the witness through whom these records are going to come in for is in the courtroom. I'd ask that she be excused from the courtroom for this portion of the.
Okay, pursuant to the rule. If you could just step outside for a minute, we may need to have you come in momentarily though, so don't go far.
So in the folder that's labeled T-Mobile records, in that folder, there are subpoenas, which are not admissible, I do not think, regarding these phone records. I don't understand the utility of putting that in, nor do I think that that is necessarily something that's a business record certification or something that was noticed on business record certification that a subpoena is coming in, signed by a judge. Then there are other items in this folder. So there's something labeled, and I apologize for the record, it's labeled SUB_TIBCO_77260700257_55454944. This is information provided to agency sheriff requester Andrew Belanca. And then it goes through subscriber details and it says Bradley Rodriguez. So that's another individual subscriber information.
And no, this is not YouTube. This is the sound guy sitting in the back of the room who just turned down the sound. Why are we having this discussion 7 years after the murder happened? Why haven't this been done pre-trial?
Not the information of the alleged victim.
Well, just in brief response, Ms. Vinola testified that Tania Wise was, her phone was paid for by Bradley Rodriguez. That's the testimony that's proven right now.
Do you recall that someone testifying to that?
I do recall that, Judge, but again, it has his name on here. I just need to note for the record that I'm contemporaneously making these legal arguments without benefit of, good reflection or legal research whatsoever, because the first time that I'm hearing about the state wants to introduce these items into evidence was literally 10 minutes ago in a capital murder case.
Actually, that's not true. The state filed a notice of business records, notice to introduce business records on March 1st of 2021. And these records are in State Attorney Media 64, which is found on the 42nd supplement of the state's discovery, which was also filed and provided to the defense on March 1st of 2021. So all of these items in identical copy have been available to them in their possession since March of 2021.
I think, Judge, I think we're up to 90. We just got a supplement yesterday during the trial. I think we're up to properly numbered. There was incorrect numbering. I think we're up to 92 supplements, incorrectly numbered. I think properly numbered, we're up to 95. There are thousands and thousands and thousands, would not be an understatement, of pages of digital discovery in this case. Just because the state files a notice of introduction of business records, I do not know exactly what they are going to introduce. They have not told me, they did tell me with the transcript translations, we are going to introduce these two items, please provide your redactions, which is the standard course of conduct in our circuit. If you would like to introduce a piece of evidence that's not easily, debatable, like a picture.
Let me just interrupt you. I have an idea that might be productive. First of all, for legal purposes, I'll consider this, no pun intended, a Richardson hearing. Mr. Richardson. I don't find a discovery violation, but I think we have a practical problem here as expressed by Ms. Minton. She didn't see it coming, even though it was disclosed. So maybe what if you proffered the testimony of the witness as far as what the state is intending to do? Because I have a feeling that everything, this document, if it's voluminous, this thumb drive, it probably contains a whole bunch of surplusage that is not relevant to her testimony. It's just putting in because it's, and then you'll know what it is, and then maybe we can hone in on, for everyone's purposes. I'm not sure it really helps the state's cause to throw a thumb drive back there with the Encyclopedia Britannica. If there's something that the state wants to focus on in the records, you could highlight that. And if it goes into the record just because it's what you have, that may solve the problem. I think on both sides, I can understand the defense hesitation, but there's a lot of presumption on my part as far as what the witness is going to testify to. And I can't imagine that that's going to be a shock to the defense as far as the substance of what's in there. So do we want to do that? You want to just bring her in and proffer it and see what the item does as far as in the mix?
Yes, sir. But as a basic premise, can we agree that subpoenas, emails back and forth between the law enforcement agency and the provider are not admissible evidence?
What I was going to suggest there is, depending on where the road took us in the proffer, if there's how many entries are you going to highlight with the witness, just approximately?
Yeah, so
Because what I was going to say is, if it was a limited amount, could you perhaps call out, CULL out from those, the items that you're focusing on, maybe print them out and have them, I think that's better for everybody. It avoids the defense problem and it highlights what the state thinks is important as opposed to the Encyclopedia Britannica on a thumb drive.
correct, and that's exactly what the state's going to do. That is the raw data. And the state, and Ms. DP Tranquilio, has provided Exhibit 148, which is a summary of that, which has the particular data in it that she is relying on.
Okay, so then my suggestion would be, what if you just had her refer to the thumb drive? Is that's globally where she gets the summary? You don't put the thumb drive in evidence. You don't have to worry about the jury looking in the thumb drive, and we're all good to go.
I have no disagreement with that.
Is that a good plan?
That works. Yes, sir.
Okay, if you got a summary and it's an official summary from her, I think that's better for both sides. It avoids the problem.
Right. And I also filed a notice of intent to introduce summary evidence with this specific exhibit on August 15th of 2025. So this is no surprise to me.
Right.
And that's why I thought that's what they were introducing
Understood.
and not the thumb drive.
But I think that cut to the chase practically, logistically for both sides where we've cleaned it up.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Better for the state, better for the defense.
That works. Yes, sir.
All right. So we don't need to proffer Miss D. I wrote it down phonetically here. D.P. Tranquilio. The funny thing I was discussing with the lawyers for everyone else here is there's a witness that's testified before me all the time. Her name is D. Prantronio. And Mr. Richardson said D. Prantronio.
We don't
I thought he
care.
was
Move on.
mispronouncing it. And a different person walked in. It's a different person. So we have that on top of everything else. All right. Let's, so you're all good with bringing in the jury. And I can't remember where we got, she didn't get up to the part where she was sworn. I think she didn't get past.
Right. She
Okay.
has not been sworn.
All right, so she's in the hall. Let's bring in the jury, and you can recall her, and we'll go from there.
Yes, that's what they were asking about. If a school class could enter, stay there for an hour, and they will all be dressed the same way. No, I was looking at those twins that Brendan wanted an opinion on, but I don't know if that's the twins that he wanted an opinion on, or if they even were twins. I'm listening to Lefty. I know that's a mistake. No, he was trying to make a funny about a lawyer's name. Look at this little dweeb. Guess who's getting picked last for basketball? And I had the same hairdo in 1997.
The most important people in this case that everybody seems to have forgotten in this room is the jury. So we're going to take a 15-minute break and both sides take a pregnant pause and think about the jury.
He said that, oh, there's a lawyer with this name. I talk to her all the time. That's the part I said. We don't care. Move on.
All right, the jury is present and you may proceed.
It's
with
a
the
school
next
class.
witness.
Yes, sir. Please have the court call Agent Kelly D.T. Trantonio.
I read chats.
If you could raise your right hand, if it's correct.
You swear affirm that evidence you want to give will be the truth, the whole truth. and nothing but
Hello, ma'am.
Head over to the witness box.
And you may inquire of the witness.
You can arrest me any day.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you state your name for the record and spell your last name, please?
Broken eyesight contact fund. I can clearly read. I was just looking over there to look at those. I don't know if that's the right girls that I found. I asked you on the Twit thread, but thank you, Brandon.
My name is Kelly D. Pietrantonio, Dipietrantonio.
Okay. And Ms. Deepan, what do you do for a living?
I'm a special agent with the FBI.
Okay. And can you give us a thumbnail sketch of your education, your training, and your experience, please?
Sure. I have a Bachelor's of Arts and a Master's of Science from Long Island University. After becoming before becoming an agent, I went to Quantico, Virginia, and did my 20-week training to become an agent there. I'm also part of the FBI's Cellular Analysis Survey Team, or CAST as we call it, CAST. And to become a CAST certified agent, you have to, just like anything else that you don't know what you're doing, you start with a basic class, very simple. It's about a 2-day class, and we learn about the different providers. When I say providers, I'm talking about AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, US Cellular. And they show us the records that they maintain, why they maintain them, how they maintain them, what they look like. And then we figure out all of those records, and we figure out.
I don't like having contacts in. I don't like anything touching my eyes. So if I feel like it, I can get my glasses. Oh, well, if you feel like it, you're getting just as, big, I can't see. Is that true, Marissa? It's actually Brandon. Oh, you sound exactly the same.
Way to actually plot those on a map so you can visually see where these phones possibly were when they were making a phone call or sending a text message or initiating a data session. After the basic class, you're paired up with a mentor and you go back to the field, you work your cases, you practice some of these records on your own. Then you can get invited to the advanced class. And that's just like the basic, but just a little more nuanced. You learn Google, Facebook, Snapchat, car records, very similar to how you can track a phone, you can track a vehicle. So we work with all of those. And then if you do well, again, in advanced, you continue working with that mentor, you go back to the field, you work on those cases and practice working with those records. After that, you can get invited to what's called CIRA. That's the Critical Incident Readiness Assessment, or CIRA. In CIRA, you walk in, it's not an instructor-based class. So you walk in and your teachers will say, okay, today there's a missing 3-year-old in Miami-Dade County. This is the phone number for the child's father. He was last seen with them, find the child. And again, it's a training environment, so you have to ask for the appropriate records in order to find that child and then present your findings to your colleagues, to a team that's ready to go out and knock on doors and look for this child. If you do well in that, again, you go back, practice with those records, come back, and you can take the certification course. The certification course is two-week sessions broken up into what we call Cert 1 and Cert 2. In Cert 1, you will actually get a chance to sit down with the providers and meet with the custodians of record and the engineers. The custodians of records are the folks that actually pull the records for you when we give them subpoenas and search warrants and exigent requests. And the engineers are obviously the folks who create, modify, and optimize the network so that we stay customers, because these are billion-dollar industries, right? And they want to keep doing that, keep making money, and keep us as customers. So that's a really great opportunity. The second part of Cert 2, in Cert 1, we also get about a semester's worth of training on radio frequency theory from professors from the Florida Institute.
Did you know if you pour Diet Coke on a not a mentor, they'll blow up? And I can't see with these glasses on. I need my other glasses.
Institute of Technology. So it's the same professors that are teaching folks who actually go out and do this for a living, engineers in the field. In Cert 2, we have the opportunity to learn a new software that we use. It's called ESPA. And then we also learn a new piece of equipment. It's called the Gladiator Autonomous Receiver, or a GAR. If you remember those old commercials, I think they were Verizon, where the guy used to walk around and he used to go, "Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?" Basically, what the receiver does is exactly that. It will drive every single block in a neighborhood and will act as though we're making a phone call, and will be a Verizon phone, a T-Mobile phone, a Sprint phone, an AT&T
Sounds
phone.
like it.
And it'll say, "Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?" And it'll actually figure out what the footprint of that tower is. So if I were to communicate with a tower, or if I was making a call, what tower would I connect to? In order to connect to a tower, one, very important, the phone has to decide which tower I'm going to connect to. And it does that based on what it views as the clearest, strongest signal for itself at that time. After that, if you're anything like me, and you start your day as soon as you get in your car, you start making calls. I live in Broward County, so I'll start making my call at my house, and then I'll drive down to work, and sometimes I go down to Miami. So the ending...
A overruling objection is a preface to the overall testimony. You could continue. You were driving in that scenario.
Thank you. So I'll start at my house, and then I'll continue driving until I get to work. If I'm headed to Miami that day, my ending tower will be in Miami. So both providers, in this case at least, provide both the beginning and ending towers for your records. And then you'll actually take a case in Cert 2 at the end of your training to a moot court. So it looks just like this. We go to a real courtroom and have defense attorneys and prosecutors that come in and help us. We take a case from initiation. We look at the records. We analyze those records. We create a report. We do a drive test to figure out the footprint, or what we call the ground truth of those records. And then we present our findings in a trial situation.
Okay. And how many of these analyses that you previously described have you actually conducted and performed during your career as a special agent for the FBI?
Well, not every case that I do goes to trial. So I'm looking at phone records on a weekly basis. So I've looked at over 100 phone records, well over 100. But trial is not typically that many.
Okay. And how many times have you testified in a court of law regarding these phone analyses that you previously described?
Regarding phone analysis, probably about 11 or 12 times.
Okay. And you're doing these analyses on a weekly basis?
Yes, most of the time. Yes.
Over the course of how many years?
I became certified in 2021, but I started my first basic class. I was a tactical analyst beforehand, but you are not allowed to be certified in that position. But I took that class in 2016, so I've been working with these records since 2016.
Okay. And were you previously provided with phone records with respect to this case, the state of Florida versus Jose Soto-Escalera?
I was, yes.
Okay. And were you specifically provided with Sprint records in which the subscriber was the defendant, Jose Soto-Escalera?
Yes, I was.
And were you also provided with T-Mobile records where the subscriber was a fellow by the name of Bradley Rodriguez, who paid for the phone for Tania Wise, the victim of the case?
Yes, I was.
Okay, I'm going to show you this particular item of evidence, which is a flash drive. What is on that flash drive?
These are the records that I received from both Sprint and T-Mobile for this case.
Okay. And did you, and when you say records, are these voluminous records?
They are, yes.
Okay. Did you rely on those records to arrive at the conclusions in your case, in this case?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you. Okay. And I am going to show you what has been marked as states 148 for identification purposes. Do you recognize that?
This is the report that I generated for this case.
Okay, and what is, and you said it's a report. Go ahead and describe for the jury what data you looked at and how you analyze that data.
Sure. So phone carriers maintain a couple different kinds of records. The first is what's called the call detail record. If anybody remembers getting paper statements in the mail, you have a couple different columns. It's obviously one, your phone number, who you called, who called you, the date and time of that call, the duration of that call. It looks very similar to that. The only difference is with the call detail records is we have some tower information. So it'll actually tell us what tower you utilized to make that phone call, receive that phone call, send that text message, or receive that text message. Same with the data session. So we take those records and we marry them up with what's called the tower list. Phone companies are required to keep a tower.
Sprint and T-Mobile, good to know. Black guys still love fat white biatches. This lady was a Hispanic, the one who died. Don't brush all with the same brush. Paint all with the same brush. Thank you, Bradley.
And it's basically every tower within their network. But the call detail records, sometimes they'll refer to the towers as tower 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have to go to the call detail, to the tower list, I apologize, and see where tower 1, 2, 3, 4 is actually located. And that will give us the address and the lat long of that tower. So we marry those two together to figure out, again, where these phone calls were taking place.
Okay, and the report in front of you, does that distill your analysis down to paper form? In other words, does it show the Latin?
I think she's Italian.
The geographical area where these two phones were on the night of August 23rd of 2018.
It does, yes.
Okay, and is this a fair and accurate representation of the report?
It is.
And is it true and correct?
It is.
Okay, Your Honor, the state moves into evidence, exhibit number 148.
Any objection to 148?
Can you just see it real quick?
Why didn't they fix this in pretrial motions? Why are we waiting for the trial to discuss the cellular tower records? And again, cellular towers gives an indication. It doesn't give us a position. So is it really that important to fight over? And I'm going to say this again. Stop doing I'm talking to the jury. It comes off so weird. I've said this many times. When I'm a layman, I sit to the right or the left of the judge. We are three people sitting on a dais. Then you have the defense on the right and the prosecution on the left, and witnesses will be in the middle. And when witnesses are being asked, they talk to the side that asked them questions. They don't sit and look up at us and say, "Oh, well, on that day specifically, I was at home. Yes, my girlfriend can vouch for that. No, we were watching Group 1. Was that what we figured out? Reishold was named yesterday. Wonderful show. I loved Mads Mikkelsen in it." No, they'll look at the one who's asking them question. It comes off as like kind of amateur theater where, I have to overdo it so people really feel like I am talking to them. We kind of have this thing where we are not seen, we are not heard as jurors. We're not there. It's the judge who talks to everyone in court. We can, of course, I can nudge the judge and say, "I didn't get that. Did they say Saturday or Sunday?" And he can say, "Oh, could you clarify what you said?" Or whatever the question might be that I have. But I will never ever speak up to anyone in court as long as we are on the record. We might, when we're just sitting waiting for a witness or something, we might just sit and chit chat. But we don't have that. We're going to look at sometimes when they're doing their closings, that's where they summarize the case and what they believe people should have, what conviction they should get. They will look at us, but most of the time we're not there. This face is just destroyed beyond any plastic surgeon's wet dreams. And yes, the thin eyebrows aren't going to fix anything but a fetish. I like her. I think she's pretty. If I win tonight that $100 million, I'll give her a try and fix her, Brandon. Even her eyebrows. Her eyebrows reminds me of the girls I used to try and date back in the 90s. So, but hey, I am also what's known as a typical not picky type of guy. I don't mind it to be cheap. I like it to be free. No, because you don't want to be there and you don't want to be a part of this. This is actually one of the things that a lot of people, when we have that 4-year period we are there, and new people will have that. Oh, I'm kind of afraid because some cases are bad cases and you have some violent psychopaths there, and they're like, oh, will they remember me? I said, I've had one guy say hello to me after a case, and he had a brain injury. That's the only person who ever recognized me outside of the courtroom. I don't want to be recognized. I don't want them to know my name. I'm never presented in court either. My name is never mentioned. I'm just a layman. Because that's our protection, that they don't know us. They can't come and try and influence us. But we are not, most times, they will never ever see us on the record who's going to be the layman. We're not listed. These are the jury that will be here today. It'll be there when they get their sentencing. Yeah, our names will be on it, but they are in prison at that time if they go into prison, so I don't care. But we are anonymous. It is hard to have 90s eyebrows in 2025. Well, I like it. If she could do the swoosh hair as well, and maybe a little, not the crepe from the 80s, but a little of the thing they did. Maybe put on some of those, not like Lululemons, but kind of still like Lululemons, a little tight with the flare at the bottom. I'm not saying I could cut glass, but I could cut glass if that happened. This is Baker's type of woman. Yes, I like them with a little meat on the bone and a little 90s makeup. Attractive to you is someone who will sit atop the leg press and yell, "Do another one, pussy. Now do one for your mother." But that's between you and your psychiatrist. I actually had a woman ask if she should sit on top of it. Sadly, not that one, but the leg press the other day, because I said, well, you can only stack so many weights on it. But she wasn't that big. I could easily have pushed her as well. I found that odd when I was in court and the solicitor was looking right at the magistrates, asking questions directed at me. I had to constantly clarify if he was asking me the question or not. Yeah, it becomes weird because it's too Amber Heard to me. What a coincidence. Brandon says hi to Baker too, even with his brain injury. What? What? Please don't. Please don't. We are anonymous. We are legion. What's my actual name, Mr. Baker? It's Baker. No, I was trying to push her up. Well, she didn't get on it because it wasn't a heavy day. And it can still hold those 400 kilos, which is what? 880 pounds, something like that. I still have 90s eyebrows. I overplucked and they'll never grow out. Well, do the one where they take the magic marker and paint it up here like the old ladies who constantly goes around looking like. That's a surprise to me. I go by Baker. I have a Danish name. It's too hard to pronounce. So I don't use that. push it real good. This is a serious but stupid question. What does layman actually mean? I know it's a jurors, but what does it actually mean? It means someone who is not educated. It's someone who has a knowledge but hasn't done the experience, I believe is the correct translation of layman. It's just because I think technically we are civilian judges more than we are jurors. And that's why we are laymen, because we are not people who have had a law degree or any education in the law field, and that's not why we are there. We are not there to interpret it as a judge. We are there to be the common knowledge judges. So we can sit there and look at it and say, well, okay, this is the law and these are the rules that they have to follow, but I believe this and that is also influential to the case. So we have to bring outworld experience into the law world. So we are not educated. That's being a layman. It's like you might be really good at baking, and you could work in a bakery even though you don't have a baker's education. So you would be a layman baker. It's just someone who is uneducated but works in that field, I think. Your first name isn't that hard, but your last name, forget it. Well, I never heard an American.
148 will come into evidence. And ladies and gentlemen, Joe, I did want to highlight something. If you recall, the beginning of the trial, and several times I've described to you the difference between demonstrative evidence and actual evidence. The significance of that is when something is actual evidence in the case, it will go back with you into the jury room. And when it's demonstrative, it can be used.
Stephen, can you go bring Brandon? He needs to get out and hit some balls. He's been grabbing his club way too much lately.
Here in court to explain other evidence. So just bear that in mind. There was a reference earlier to a thumb drive, which is just used demonstratively to explain the actual summary that's come into evidence at this time. In case you were wondering about the thumb drive, is not actually in evidence for later purposes. Thank you, and you may proceed.
Thank you. Okay, so why don't you, and we'll go ahead. Is this the first page of your summary? Is that correct?
It is.
Okay, and let's walk through and just make sure that we're specific here. There are two phone numbers, correct?
Correct.
The first is 772-607-0257. Okay, which individual is that phone number associated with?
That's associated with Tania Wise.
Okay, and then the second phone number, 772-200-61. Which individual is that associated with?
Mr. Escalera.
Okay, if we could advance to slide 2. So, and I think you described a lot of this already, but why don't you go ahead and just put a briefly summarize what we're looking at here.
Sure. So this just says what I did in my involvement in this case. I was given some records. I was given points of interest for this case and times of interest, as well as dates of interest. I mapped the records around those dates, times, and locations of interest using my software, and then I drew my own conclusions from those records.
Okay. And go ahead and advance to slide 3. So what are we looking at here?
This slide just shows examples of cell phone towers. Something I think that it's important to note here is just because you see a cell phone tower doesn't
not
mean
this
that
one
your
again.
phone is communicating with that tower if you're close to it. So for example, I have Verizon for my personal phone. So
Is this the graphic they must use in the FBI? Because we see this, just get to the search result. We don't need to see what a mobile, we call them masts, are. Move the hell on and just get to the results.
my phone can only see Verizon towers. I may be standing underneath an AT&T tower. My phone doesn't even recognize that tower. So just because you're close to one doesn't necessarily mean that your phone is talking to that tower. And then something else just to note here is that carriers nowadays, depending upon the location, will try to have the cell phone towers blend in. They're not always these ugly structures on the side of the road like maybe we're used to seeing. So I think that cactus on the left-hand side there, I think that is in Arizona. I think Wyoming has one that's kind of built into like a billboard of a bison. So again, just because you see them doesn't necessarily mean your phone's talking to them. And just because you don't see them or potentially don't see them doesn't necessarily mean they're not there.
Okay, and we'll go ahead and advance to the fourth slide. Okay, why don't you describe for the jury what we're looking at?
Sure. So most towers have 3 sides. Some towers have 6 sides.
It's because we have had 4 sidebars and the jury left the room twice. It's not, this should have been covered in a pre-trial motion. And they need to, sorry, Yanks, I know you love your experts, but you need to get this crap out of here. No one is interested in all of this. This can be, I can explain it to all of you in 5 seconds on my whiteboard, and I don't need all the money my future wife got for making this report. It's stupid.
Have 1, those are called omnidirectional towers. But for the purpose of this report, I think most of the towers in this report had 3 sides. When each tower is placed on Earth, it's not always pointed in the same direction. So we call that the azimuth or the orientation. And that's another column that we'll see in those call detail records. The carriers will let us know how the tower is oriented so we know which direction this signal emanated from the tower to the phone. If you look at the photo all the way to the right, that's how I'll display cell sites that were that the phone interacted with. That shaded area does not show where the phone was located. That simply is just a guide for the direction the signal traveled. So it can or cannot be within that shaded area. And then a good way, I think, to think of my report, this is kind of a weird comparison, I know, but see how those lines are straight and it's very neat and kind of sharp looking? I like to compare that to almost like a cherry pie at Cheesecake Factory. It always comes really neat. The sides are straight, but if you ever cut a cherry pie at home, it's not neat. There's cherries that fall out. And even if you were to smack that cherry pie at home, typically it's still going to be that wedge shape, and you can tell it's a pie, right? But
She's my cherry pie. La, da, 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 da. She's sending me subliminal messages. I get you, girl. I'll be coming to Florida.
you may have a couple crumbs that are not attached at all at that point. And that's actually a more realistic depiction of what the footprint of a cell tower actually looks like. Radio frequency is not a straight line, it's jagged. So just keep that in mind when we're looking at the report. The report has these sharp lines just to show a direction or again, as a guide. But radio frequency does not travel in a straight line like that.
Okay. And why don't you go ahead? I think this is
She said cherry pie
Go ahead
and
and
Cheesecake
describe to the
Factory.
jury some of the limitations of your analysis. You mentioned that the analogy of a cherry pie kind of thing. Why don't you go ahead and describe that?
So, Risa, then you haven't watched enough trials. We have heard this exact same spiel in every case where there is a cell phone expert.
Sure. So a couple things just to take into consideration. These records are maintained by the cell phone companies. I don't know who's holding the device at the time. If it's a phone call, I don't know what was said on that phone call. If it's a text message, I don't know what was written in that text message. If it's a photo, I don't know what the photo is of. Same thing with the data session. I can't tell that they logged onto Facebook or they sent an email. I can only say that the phone interacted with this tower at this time on this day. So just something to keep in mind throughout the report.
Okay. And if we could advance to slide 5. Go ahead.
Time in advance is another record that the telephone companies keep. This is what we consider the golden standard. Time in advance is a record that will it's a signal that's sent from the tower to the device and back to the tower. And based on the amount of time that it takes the signal to go from the tower to the phone and back to the tower, we can figure out with a mathematical equation based on radio frequency and how it travels at the speed of light, how far away that phone may be at the time that it made that phone call or again sent that text message to her. But however, for time in advance, it's important to note that you don't have to be making a phone call to get a time in advance record. You don't have to be sending a text message, and you don't have to be within the footprint of that tower to talk to a tower. Time in advance is completely up to the network, and whatever tower wants to take a measurement of itself to the phone and back to itself can do so. So sometimes you'll get time in advance records that are very far away from the phone, and the phone is clearly not within the footprint of that tower. That's normal for time in advance. That's not typical for a call detail record.
Okay. And if we could advance to the next slide, please. Okay, what are we looking at here?
This is the phone number ending in 0257. So T-Mobile, anytime somebody signs up for their services, they keep a subscriber log. This phone is registered to Bradley Rodriguez, but again, used by Tania Wise. And it just says when they started their service, ended their service, and then a couple of other information about the actual device itself.
Okay. And if we could advance to the next slide, please.
This is the same thing, but for Sprint. This is for the number ending in 6163, subscribed to Mr. Escalera. And again, it just says when he started his relationship with Sprint, and then that the phone was maintained by him as a subscriber, his address, information like that.
Okay, and the next one.
This is basically the same thing, just how Sprint kind of use it on their screen in their own program. But again, we can see that the phone ending in 6163 is subscribed to Mr. Soto-Escalera here as well.
Okay. Is that this name right here? Is it Laura?
Yes.
Focus in. Okay. And the next slide, please. Okay. And if it would be easier for you, if you don't mind stepping down and kind of walking the jury through what we're looking at.
Yeah, step down. Let's see
So here
those.
we are on the next
way
slide.
in.
Tell the jury what we're looking at.
So all of these green dots are T-Mobile towers. They make up the T-Mobile network. All of the black dots are Sprint towers.
Hey, Shannon.
They make up the Sprint network. I was given, as I said earlier, a couple different points of interest for this case. The first being this red flag here. That's the location of where the victim's body was found. The second here is this green flag. That's the victim's residence, or Mrs. Wise's residence. And this yellow flag is Mr. Escalera's residence.
Okay. And go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you.
You can see that the towers are kind of spread out here. This area is not super densely populated. If you were to go to an area like Manhattan or Los Angeles, you would see a lot more towers, a lot closer together, much more packed and condensed. But because this area, you have less people, less devices, less people that need resources from each of the towers, you have less towers. They're a little more spread out, and especially like in areas like this. I'll point out over here, you don't have a lot of towers. That's just because there's not a lot of people living there. It's very rural in this area.
Okay. In the next slide, please.
Okay, so here we have some Tania
I don't care what you say, Brandon. I think she's pretty.
advanced records and some call detail records or phone calls that were made. I'll start with this one over here. See how
You can see HCA, that's Hans Christian Andersen, Florida Street, Florida St. Lucie Hospital. So it's St. Lucie. Imagine that you named a hospital after Hans Christian Andersen. Thank you. He lives on, he used to live on my island. And he made notes in his diary every time he gave himself a sack, as we call it on this channel. That's a handy.
this arc is a little bit darker than this one. That's only because there are actually quite a few time in advance records that are almost pancaked on top of each other here. So the first one we'll look at was on August 23rd, 2018 at 8:06 p.m. And that's this outermost arc here. You can see that there's a little area that's just a little bit lighter, a little further west. That arc was 1.73 miles from the tower. This arc relates to the phone ending in 6163 used by Mr. Escalera. So that's telling us that the phone used again by Mr. Escalera was in an area consistent with the defendant's residence, with his own residence. And then if we look here at 8:07, 8:08, and 8:18 on that same day.
She's not as skinny as Jodi Arias. Daddy like a little sizzle on the steak. I don't eat T-bone.
August 23rd, Mr. Escalera's phone moves just a touch eastbound. And that's that darker shaded area here that we have. Three different, again, kind of pancaked on top of each other, time advance records. Now, if we continue on at 8:18 p.m., the phone again moved eastward closer towards the victim's residence. And we see that that arc was 0.94 miles away from the tower at that point. If we look here, these are all the phone calls that were made on this day from 8:06 p.m. through 8:18 p.m. on August 23rd. Let's look at the first one here. At 8:06 p.m., we can see that our target phone, the phone ending in 6163 used by Mr. Escalera, called a number ending in 0257. That was actually the phone that belonged to Tania Wise. That call lasted 38 seconds. It was a voice call, and again, it was from Mr. Escalera to Ms. Wise. Now, because we have Mrs. Wise's call detail records, we see that same call, but incoming to her phone right after. So it took about 2 seconds for it to register to get to her phone. And then again, call lasted 32 seconds on her side, and it was an incoming call from Mr. Escalera's phone. Then Mr. Escalera at 8:07 and 8:08 p.m. calls two people. The first has a phone number ending in 3.
This is where they found the body. That was out in the rural. It was just a flat area filled with what do you call it, irrigation ditches or whatever it's called. So it's just, it must have been out there. Maybe we'll see where they're going later.
288, and the second phone number ending in 8475. And then if we continue on again, just like the first two calls we saw that kind of were the same call really, we have that same instance here at 8:18 and 15 seconds. Mrs. Wise's phone calls Mr. Escalera's phone. And then we see the incoming call on Mr. Escalera's phone from Mrs. Wise, again at 8:18. And then we have another instance of that repeated call again at 8:18 and 15 seconds approximately
Well, she
later.
must be from out of state.
Mrs. Wise's phone calls Mr. Escalera's phone, and then we see that incoming call to Mr. Escalera from Mrs. Wise's phone on his record. All of these calls were made from a tower right here, right where those two sectors kind of intersect.
Okay. And the tower, what can you say about the tower, the final tower that's, that those calls communicated off of? Is that, how close to that is the victim's residence? Close to, how close is the tower to the victim's residence? I'm sorry.
So here's our key, but clearly less than a mile, maybe a block or two away from her residence there.
Okay, okay. And then if we could advance to the next slide, please. So what are we looking at here?
So this is at 8:25 p.m. And then we have a couple different records that are just spread out by a couple different seconds here. So we'll start with the first one at 8:25 and 27 seconds. We have a call, an outgoing call from Mrs. Wise's phone to a number ending in 6163, which we now know is the phone used by Mr. Escalera. And that was done via this sector here pointing eastbound, the green sector. All of the green calls, if I didn't mention this earlier, belong to Ms. Wise, and all of the black calls in the black sectors belong to Mr. Escalera. At 8:25 and 28 seconds, we have again that same duplicative call, but on Mr. Escalera's record. So we can see that he received an incoming call from a number ending in 0257, which we know belongs to Ms. Wise, and he used this sector to receive that call. So towers may be in the same spot, and what companies will do sometimes is it costs a lot of money to build these towers. So once a tower is already built or constructed, they'll just put their antennas on top of each other. So sometimes you can see different layers, and sometimes it's different layers of the same network. Sometimes it's different networks or different providers. But it looks like the towers are very close together, if not the same tower. The sectors are just different because remember how I said they orient their towers differently? So his tower, and specifically his sector that he used, is oriented just a little bit further north than Mrs. Wise's was here. Then at 8:25 and 50 seconds, we can see that there was a time in advance record for Mr. Escalera's phone that put him about 0.45 miles from the tower. Within 0.4 miles is Mrs. Wise's residence, which you can see here by that green flag.
Okay, so is it fair to say that Mr. Soto-Escalera's phone is within 0.4 miles away of the victim's residence on August 23rd, 2018 at 8:25 p.m.?
Correct. I would say this is an area that, or his phone is utilizing a tower that is consistent with being at or around her residence.
Okay. And if we could advance to the next slide, please.
I don't know, but that's not how. No, that you can't make that determination because cell phones will jump from tower to tower where they get the best connection. That's what we found out in Denmark. We had to have a lot of cases be retried because they did the triangulation and said, well, there's a tower here and a tower here. The person must be there. And they've said, no, you can't do that because if you're here and there's a tower here and there's a tower, let's say you are at the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys home game this Monday. I don't know if they have a home game. Forget it. Let's go to the whiteboard. Because no, that's the wrong one. Come on. God damn it. If you have two cell towers and your mobile phone, but cell tower 1 up here is That's the one at Dallas Stadium. Everyone is sending an Instagram story because Dallas Cowboys lost again because it's the worst team in America. Your phone will then try to reach out and bounce off tower 2, which will tell you, oh, you're close to this tower. Or your phone will store your Instagram story. And then when you drive home, it'll bounce off this, or it'll wait and say, oh, now there's a free package I can send over the internet. That's what we found out in Denmark with a lot of the trials we had, because they were doing, well, we have 3 cell towers and a mobile phone, and we'll just do the triangulation. And then we can tell you where the mobile phone. And we found out, no, you can tell in what general direction it could potentially have been, but you can't tell distance from the cell tower. And you can't say with 100% certainty, this is where the person was. It would be within whatever 45-degree angle this cell tower is covering. And then you, of course, can go on to another tower and say, okay, well, it's in that angle, so it makes the area smaller. But we had a lot of cases go over because they tried to say, well, this person was on this spot at this this moment. And you can't use cell data for that because it bounces differently. A cell tower will always go where there's the least activity, and it'll skip 1, 2, 3 cell towers. If it has 4 cell towers it can reach, it'll bounce to the one where it can get you online the fastest. So I'm not sure you can make the determination he just did. I'm never wrong.
Okay, so what are we looking at here? It looks like we're looking at the time frame between 8:44 p.m. and 10 p.m. on August 23rd of 2018. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, let's go ahead and walk the jury through your analysis, please.
So we have a couple of different things on this slide. I'll start with Mrs. Wise's phone
bounce.
down here to the south of the map. At 8:44 and 8:45, she made 2 calls, and she utilized a sector that was facing southbound, right here, kind of adjacent to the Florida Turnpike. Both of those calls were outgoing to numbers ending in 2218 and 7301. And here, typically on the other side, we saw a duration. Here it says -1. That's just a nuance with T-Mobile records. Sometimes they don't maintain the duration for certain calls. And when there's no duration populated in their call detail records, our software will kind of tell us that by just inputting a -1. So it's not that the call was -1 seconds. Obviously, that's impossible. There was just no duration noted there.
Let me stop you there if you don't mind.
Sure.
Is it accurate to say that at 8:25 p.m. until 8:44 p.m., the phone for Miss Wise traveled north?
Yes. Yeah, because if you remember,
The lady with the glasses is the defense attorney.
at 8:25, the phone was further south down here by her residence.
Okay, and the same question for Mr. Soto-Escalera's phone.
Correct. So we don't see him over here, but we do see him even further north. And again, if you remember from the last slide, he was in that same general area of her house, just like Ms. Wise was.
Okay, so go ahead. Thank you. Go ahead and pick up on your analysis.
Sure. I'll switch over to this center call out box right here. We're going to start with this call at 9:51. That was a outgoing call made from Mr. Escalera's phone to a number ending in 7131.
Keep it on the screen.
And then this actually, if you remember earlier, I think I mentioned that the phone itself decides what tower it views as the best tower to make that call at the initiation of that call. And that's really important because the network takes over at the ending part of that call or anywhere after the initiation. So you can skip 10 towers, you can only have 2 towers in a call, you can have 1 tower. So the phone decides at the beginning of the call what tower it's going to connect to, and then the network takes over. So here you see how we have a 38-second call. Here's a 38-second call, and it's just 38 seconds after the first one. This is actually the ending tower for this same call. So that's why we don't have a phone number over here as well. So the call started over here from this tower and ended on this tower. Now, in between those two, we have a timing in advance arc. And cell phone coverage kind of works similar to a sprinkler system in your yard. You want to have a little bit of overlap just so you don't drop calls because, again, these people are in business to make money. If you're dropping calls, you're going to leave and you're going to go to another provider, right? They don't want that. So what they'll do is they'll create a little bit of overlap, but not too much that it overflows your lawn and your lawn is overflowed with water. In the radio frequency world, that creates what's called a lot of noise in the network. And it gets difficult for the phones to be the towers to be the phones, and vice versa. Based on how short this call was and where this timing advance point is, You can see that it's almost right in the middle of both of those towers, which tells me, knowing that there's no more towers in between here, that the phone was likely in this area when it made that phone call. After it made that phone call at 9:52, we'll go to this one at 10 p.m. here. Mr. Escalera's phone made a call to a number ending in 8475, south of that initial call from the slide, but again, using a sector that was pointed northbound. And that's this one right here. So we can see that the timing advance arc for that tower was about 1.3 miles away from the tower. I think that covers this slide.
Okay. And let me ask you this. What is the closest point that the defendant's phone, Jose Soto-Escalera, got within the intersection of Johnson Road and Russo Road, which is our crime scene?
So this right here, this red flag is again the crime scene where the victim's body was found. This to the tower is 4.33 miles. I would say that that is probably less than 2 miles away.
Okay. And does that include the outside of the?
Lady, you're an FBI analyst. You are not a priest. You don't guess, you know. If you go to church, that's where we pray and we hope. You know how far that distance is because you know you're going to be asked that.
Of the crime scene as well.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Okay.
I'm off screen so people can see the evidence better.
And if we could go, I believe that's the last slide. If you go to, okay, that is the last slide. Okay, thank you. You can,
I'm not
okay.
doing a toilet.
Agent DP Antonio, thank you very much. I have no further questions. Defense counsel may have some for you.
Thank you.
No questions, thank you.
May this witness be released from custody at this time? Any objection to releasing?
No objection.
Thank you, Agent DP Trantonio. You are releasing your subpoena. You're free to stay or leave as you wish.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did someone get
Any of
house?
the state's next
name?
witness or item of evidence?
John Carmichael with the San Lucie County
Research.
Sheriff's Office.
Du må få min sofa-cykel, når jeg dør. Du må få min sofa-cykel, når jeg dør. Bam, bam, bam. I don't have a bucket on them. No. I spent half a year being deployed with a guy who peed in Coke bottles. I don't need. No, a year being deployed with a guy who peed in Coke bottles. I don't need that pee smell in my life.
And you may inquire of the witness.
Morning.
Good morning.
Please state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
Donna Carmichael, Carmichael.
All right. And are you currently employed?
No, sir, I'm not.
Okay. You're recently retired?
Yes, sir.
All right. What did you retire from doing?
I retired from the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office. I was the crime scene supervisor there.
All right. And if you could tell the jury, how long did you work for the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office as the crime scene supervisor?
I worked for the Sheriff's Office for 31 years. The first 11 years, I was the evidence custodian. For 12 years, I was a crime scene investigator. In the last 8 years, I was the supervisor of the unit.
All right. If you could tell the jury, what was your background and your training and experience that allowed you to be able to do that job and work all the way up to the supervisor for the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office?
I have thousands of hours of training through different organizations such as the FBI, the American Institute of Applied Science, West Virginia University, North Carolina Justice Institution, the International Association of Identification, and LEVA, which is Law Enforcement Video Analysis, and other forensic discipline organizations. Through that, the training is through documenting scenes, processing evidence, video analysis, latent print analysis and comparison, homicide scenes, death investigations, shooting investigations, to just name a few of the different types of training that I attended.
All right. And as far as the crime scene supervisor, were you employed in that capacity back in August of 2018?
Yes, sir.
And were two of the other crime scene investigators, Kayla Lim and Janine Hiller, did you supervise them at that time?
Yes, sir.
And did you provide assistance to them in working the homicide case of Tania Wise?
Yes, sir.
What was your involvement in the case as far as the collecting and the documentation of physical evidence?
Well, there was several different days. We worked on this case for multiple days and weeks. At the initial scene, I assisted CSI Hiller with the documentation of measurements, because of course you need two people to hold a tape measure.
and that. And then when it came time to examine the victim, I assisted with the examination by allowing her to be able to take photographs while
I like carrot cake.
adjusted the victim, moved the victim for her so that she could take photographs.
All right, so now let's go to August 25th, 2018. Did you assist in the collection of evidence from the defendant's truck?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what I'd first like to show you is some photographs that have been marked. And those have been marked as State's Exhibits 171 through 182. You can just tell me if you recognize these photographs.
Yes, sir.
All right, how is it that you recognize those photographs?
These are the photographs that I took that day
And where did you take those photographs?
at the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office in the Criminal Investigations parking lot.
And what are the photographs of?
They are photographs of the defendant's truck, a silver Dodge Ram truck.
Do those photographs accurately reflect the defendant's vehicle as it was at the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office on August 25th of 2018?
Yes, sir.
At this time, the state would move into evidence with marked identification, states 171 through 182. Yeah.
I'm not jealous. I just wish I had some carrot. I really like carrot cake. Carrot cake is one of those cakes that you always think, oh, it would be good, but you never have the carrots for it.
Any objection?
No objection,
Those
Judge.
items will come into evidence at this time without objection.
Publish these photographs. All right, so we have State's Exhibit 171 up on the screen. Where is this parking lot located?
It is on the west side of the sheriff's office in the fenced-in area, which is normally employee parking for the detectives.
All right, and then we're looking at, this is a side photograph.
That's a myth that the RAF spread during the Second World Kerfuffle to hide the fact that they had radars. It's not true. It doesn't help your eyesight because then rabbits wouldn't be struck in traffic all the time. But it's a myth to hide that the British had developed radar. But a good story because everyone still believes it. Vote for anime for mod of the year. Since I haven't blocked anyone, you can vote on the Discord. No, we don't have the vote up yet. But I'm thinking between you and Iris, you have a big chance of winning the mod of the year on Rumble.
Which side of the defendant's truck?
Yes, sir.
All right, State's Exhibit 172. I think we can see you in the reflection of the tailgate. What is it? What are we looking at here?
The rear tailgate area in the back of the pickup truck showing the license plate number.
State's 173.
That is the driver's side of the vehicle.
Okay, why do you take all these different photographs?
We do it to show if there's any damage or any other evidence that might be easily seen with through taking photographs and to show the condition of the vehicle when we first see it.
174.
That is the front area of the vehicle to show the front quarter panel and driver's area of the vehicle.
175.
And again, the actual front of the vehicle to show what it looks like.
176.
That is the bed of the vehicle.
177.
Just a different angle, making sure we can get all of the areas of the bed.
Let's see, 178.
This is the interior section of the driver's side of the vehicle.
179.
This is a close-up so that it captures the center console area in the seat and to show that the items on the seat.
180.
This is the back driver's side seat showing that area.
181.
A pair of shoes that were on the floor of the vehicle,
And 182.
the bottoms of the shoes.
Now, in addition to photographing the defendant's vehicle on that day, did you and Ms. Lim also do swabs of the vehicle?
Yes, we did.
Okay, and did you work on the driver's side of the vehicle while Ms. Lim worked on the passenger side?
Yes, sir.
At this time, I'd like to show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibits 152, 153, 154, and 160. Do you recognize these items?
Yes, sir.
All right, then as far as 152, 153, and 154, what are these?
There's DNA swabbings that I did of the interior of the truck.
Okay, and if you could describe for the jury just briefly, how do you do that?
What we do is we take sterile swabs that are packed, 2 swabs come in a package together. They're sterile, and we open that package. We have small vials of sterile water that we will moisten one of the swabs with the sterile water and leave the other swab dry. We keep the 2 swabs together when we're swabbing an area so that they're together. Then we will rotate the swabs while we are swabbing the area and then put the swabs back in the sterile package, and then they go into an evidence envelope.
All right, and as far as State's Exhibits 152, 153, 154, are those swabs that were taken from the vehicle?
Yes, sir.
And then State's Exhibit 160, how do you recognize that exhibit?
It has my handwriting and information on the package.
And what is that exhibit?
It's hairs that was found on the right shoe.
The shoes from those pictures?
Yes, sir.
At this time, the state would move in evidence with mark for identification 152, 153, 154, and 160.
No objection.
Those items will come into evidence without objection.
I'm not saying right at this moment there might be a coffee cup at the backseat well from the last time I was at Baby Baker's. I am known to be one of those who just do this, and then I'll get annoyed at some point and throw it out.
So as far as that day with that truck, is that the extent of your involvement with that vehicle?
Yes, sir.
All right. So in addition to taking those swabs, did you also take some buccal swabs in this case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what is that?
A vocal swab is basically a DNA swab to collect a person's DNA. And what we do is we have special swabs that come in special tubes that we can swab the interior of a person's mouth. And we take 2 different swabs and swab each side of the mouth, 1 swab on one side and 1 swab on the other. And then those are submitted to evidence.
All right. So in this case, did you take a swab of the defendant, in this case, Jose Soto-Escalera?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I would like to show you what's been marked for identification in State's Exhibit 161. You recognize that?
Yes, sir.
How do you recognize it?
My handwriting is on the package.
All right. And is there any identifying information that shows it was you that did this swab?
Yes, sir. It has my initials and my ID number,
What was your ID number back then?
1030,
Okay. And what is the date that you took this swab?
8/25 of 2018.
Okay. Do you see the person that you took the swab from?
Brandon, I think this is the ears she's having. Why did you mention that? Now I can't unsee it again.
Jose Soto-Escalera here in the courtroom today?
Yes, sir.
If you could you point to that person, identify him by an article of clothing?
He is sitting over to my left. He is wearing a black jacket and a blue colored shirt.
Okay, so that's the person that you swabbed, and that's the swab that's inside of this envelope, State's Exhibit 161.
Yes, sir.
This time, the state will move in evidence with marked for identification, State's Exhibit 161.
No objection.
That item will come into evidence without objection.
Did you take some other buccal swabs of some other people in this case?
Yes, sir.
And would those be Giovanni Alvarado, Mark Burke, and Bradley Rodriguez?
Yes, sir.
All right, this time I'd like to show you what the marked for identification, State's Exhibits 162, 163, and 164. 164. Do you recognize those?
Yes, sir.
All right, how do you recognize this?
Again, it has my handwriting and the information on the packages.
All right, and then do you document who you're swabbing on each one? You write the name of the person that you're swabbing,
Yes, sir.
and you place those in those envelopes?
Yes, sir.
How are these, I guess, what is, just so the jury knows, what is all the writing and the tape? What is all of that?
That is our initials, our ID numbers and dates of when we sealed the package. So then, like on this one, it has my initials and date up here, but somebody else opened the package at a later date and they signed down at the bottom of the package and dated on this side of the package. We always try to open the package in a different location than where it was sealed, but unfortunately, sometimes a package gets opened multiple times for different reasons, and but everybody tries to not sign over top of somebody else's seal, so it's resealed each time.
What are reasons why packages have to be reopened and resealed?
It all depends on the evidence and who collects it. If say a road deputy collects a piece of evidence or a detective collects a piece of evidence, and the crime scene unit needs to examine that for trace evidence or process it for fingerprints, something like that, then it will come into the crime scene unit and we would have to open that package to then process it. And once we're done, we would repackage it and seal it. Also, it could, if it is a cell phone or something like that, it could go to our forensics lab where the detective that handles cell phones and pulls data from those, they would have to unseal it and then reseal it again. And a lot of things go to lab to be analyzed by an analyst at the lab. So they would then unseal it and reseal it.
So if there's a buckle swab, you guys put it in an envelope and seal it. If you send it to the lab, does it have to be reopened to be tested?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But every time that it's opened, it's documented and it's initialed and it's dated.
Yes, sir.
At this time, the state of moving evidence with marked for identification states and exhibits 162, 163, and 164. Any objection?
No objection.
Those items will come into evidence without objection.
No, you'll put the leg holes at the bottom. So you have the opening around your waist. 2018. August.
Thank you, Ms. Carmichael. That's all the questions I have for now.
Yes, ma'am. When you took photos of my client on August 24th, 2018, you did not see any visual injuries or abrasions, correct?
Correct.
And at that time, my client gave verbal and written consent to give his DNA, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And swab his truck.
Yes, ma'am.
And you also, I think the state mentioned, got the DNA from Mark Burke, Giovanni Alvarado, and Bradley Rodriguez, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Bradley Rodriguez Jr., I should say. I have no further questions at this time.
Any further questions from the state?
There you are.
May Ms. Carmichael be released from her subpoena at this
She
time?
is subject to recall.
Could you please step down?
Caddy P, this has been the weirdest case in a long time. The only evidence so far presented that he and the woman had anything to do with each other on or about the murder night is cell phone records that puts them in kind of the same position. We just had a lady coming in testifying she took pictures and did some swaps. The only witness so far is my future ex-wife. I hope Marissa got her name because she's going to send her a love letter. Marissa does my typing. And she could kind of put them within 0.4 miles of each other via cell phone records. Nothing else so far has been presented that links this guy to the murder. It's a really weird way they're going about it. No, I'm not gonna. No. My future ex-wife, the forensic expert from, or the electronic expert, you have to write her, roses are red, violets are blue, I like your titlets, do you like my moobs too? Or something like that. Make it a little more romantic.
And you do remain subject to recall by the attorney so long as they, or make sure they have a phone contact for you. Thank you. And
Don't have any DNA.
Next approach. Just a break. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a restroom.
We have had the jury sent out 3 times today, multiple sidebars, and the only evidence so far presented is the guy yesterday who said he wanted to buy a ghost gun. And him on the interview tape saying, I didn't talk to her, I was nowhere near her. We had a conversation about her son coming over to play with my son, and I never heard from her again, which kind of got disproven by the cell phone records, but I don't really think they highlighted it enough so people got that connection that he lied in the police interview about being in contact with her. Other than that, it's how do you obtain evidence? What evidence did you obtain? How do you do a swab? There's no evidence so far presented, so I'm thinking we're going to get a DNA expert who is going to go through all the DNA. And then at some point, we need that nephew because they sold us that the nephew was told all of it. But the evidence so far is just what I read in the papers before, because we don't even at this point know it is his baby she was pregnant with. Kind of weird if they're going to rest today, potentially. What is a ghost gun? It's an untraceable gun. Let's say it fell off a truck or fell out of Zach's gun rack. I then buy it off of Volstorm, who is the one who picked it up when it fell out of Zach's gun rack. I then sell it on to Brandon, and he then sells it on to Marissa, and Marissa's husband disappears. You will not then be able to trace when you find Zach's gun. You won't be able to trace it to Marissa because there's no bill of sale for Volstorm to me, from me to Brandon, from Brandon to Marissa. So it's a disappeared gun. The last point of entry from that gun was back home at Zach's gun rack. So a ghost gun is, they use it for 3D printed guns as well, but it's a gun where you don't have an owner registered to it. It's just a whoopsie, here's a gun. And it's really good if you want to be a criminal, because if they then find a pew and you bought that 2 weeks before, they can figure out and say, oh, that's the one used for the murder. You bought it 2 weeks before. We better look at you. No, we just had another witness talk about how to obtain DNA evidence. I haven't heard any results on the DNA. Yes, your fun rack. Yes, it's just, well, there could be a chain of custody, but it's not the one who has it in possession who has the paperwork on it. They can scratch the numbers off as well, yes. Well, if Volstorm finds it on the floor outside of Zach's gun rack, and then we sell it on, it won't have a traceable history from Zach to Marissa. So it's a ghost. How the hell did this show up in Richmond, Virginia, when Zach lives in, I don't know, California, wherever he is? So you can't say, well, he sold it to Marissa, because no one have any sales record of any of it. But again, yes, normally if you're a criminal who sells them on the street, you'll try and scratch the number off. I don't believe that's enough these days. You'll have to acid wash it. But I don't know if that's enough work for the street criminals. Doth protest us too much. Yeah, shave off the real ones and add some new, seemingly inspired by Ronald McDonald. Could be. Oh, ghost means that never have a serial. But I believe that I am also correct in that you can't trace it to a bill of sale to you. That's also how you use it. But the new 3D printed guns is the ones with all the politicians, when they yell, oh, the ghost guns is going to come jumping out and unalive everyone. That's the new 3D printed ones. I don't know how well they work. I only know that they are very powerful because I watched a documentary once with Clint Eastwood and John Malkovich, and he had a resin shooter, and it was very powerful. It could blow things. It had explosive rounds in it. I've never seen anything as powerful as that resin gun. That it was very impressive. That I think it was it 9 mil, but he had an explosive device in the projectile, and that's just I don't know how he could handle the stress on the plastic mold. But you can do that. I saw the documentary Line of Sight, I believe it's called. Oh yeah, that's I never did that with mopeds or bicycles. It could also just have the serial number removed everywhere. Yeah, that's the old ghost guns. But now they want to do everything needs to be 3D printed. There was a case in Minnesota where the kid built a pew and it didn't have a serial number. He got in trouble and he was on his own land, went to Supreme Court and won. It was unconstitutional. Interesting. Yeah, you can 3D print stuff, but I have had some. I think you have to have some really good 3D printers because I had some 3D printed stuff, and I had a buddy try and 3D print some brackets for me to put something in, and that was crap because the plastic wasn't strong enough, and because 3D printing is just layering, so it couldn't hold anything. So I'm just thinking if there's a lot of force being involved in pewing. So I think you need a good 3D printer. You can't just buy that one for $500 down at Walmart and you will be the next warlord. I'm not sure about other states, but it's illegal for a government agency to maintain a firearm registry. Also, if it's a federal, I don't get those. Yeah. Yeah, the normal house setup, you can probably cycle 1 or 2 rounds through that, but the stressors will most likely boxing it up. I'm not doxing people. I said California. Zach is not in California. Zach lives in Seattle. He's part-time barista, part-time grunge music. He is claiming it's coming back, y'all. The dog clearly died of lockbill. In line of sight? Oh, I didn't know you could use metal. I see those 3D printed houses. That's pretty cool. I don't know how well they'll hold up, but if it's efficient and you can do it with, I don't know how much it costs to run it, but if it works, but I have a hard time seeing because normally, well, you build houses differently. We build it with bricks and concrete, most of it. So ours are a bit different because it has to be able to withstand a lot of weather. But I like those 3D printed houses. I think because houses are getting so effing boring. Everything is just a square. So thinking if you can get the 3D printed houses down, some people want to live a little on the wild side instead of just building these square houses. I wish we could go back and have fun things. Oh, interesting. In New Zealand, if you own one, it has to be registered. It's the same here as well. Well, you can go to farms and they will have like a shotgun from back in the day, but we can't even own well, you can use kitchen utensils, but if let's say I wanted a Bowie knife, I would have to register and get what's called well, it would be kind of like a blade license. So I am allowed to have, if I wanted you would know those $5 ninja swords you bought at the country fair where the blade fell off the first time you tried to yank it out. If I wanted that in my house as a prop in the background, I would have to apply for a license to have that in my house. That's how strict our rules are. I can't even have like a Bowie knife or a Rambo knife and stuff like that. I can have like a knife for my fishing or if I'm a Boy Scout. But if let's say I'd like to collect sabers, that's the one. Sable, that's a different thing. Bow chicka, bow bow, waka waka. But if I wanted to, my granddad used to be a dragoon. A dragoon is a soldier who rides a horse. He had a saber. If I wanted to have his dragoon saber, I would have to have a blade license to have that in my house. That's how great our rules are, and that's why we have no crime in Denmark, because we made weapons illegal. was a kid stabbed last week in a school, but luckily we know the kid who stabbed him broke the law. Well, he broke the law twice because he had a knife he wasn't allowed to have. That's probably like 7 days in prison. And then the stabbing, that's probably a bit longer. What's with Grunts? Nothing. Zach is just saying he's going to make it come back with the, well, we call them Woodman shirts. The ones that, the flannel shirts, we call those Woodman shirts. But that's, he's sitting and he's sitting in his Starbucks and singing his angsty songs. Your kids has dozen of those. It's crazy how restrict you are. Yeah. And we don't get a ton of cases with it anymore, but there was a lot of kids who were buying these. It's a video game where they have some knives. I don't know if it was CS or whatever it was, and they were buying it off Temu because you can just go on Temu and buy one of those knives, and then they'll get stopped in customs, and we will get, hey, this person is trying to import an illegal knife. Okay, you're gonna go pay a fine or go to prison. But they just went on the internet. Yeah, well, you're an idiot. You should know the laws. Hey, don't be a gay. Don't pull the plug. As a soldier, I had to apply to a chief who only ever fired a 9mm to have a pew. I couldn't, and even though I've been deployed, I had my basic training, I've been active duty, reserve duty for like 10 years combined. Yeah, around 10 years. I can't own any firearms. I can go get a hunting license and then I can get a hunting rifle, which I would then have to store in a gun safe. No, I'm not sure because I never looked this up, but I think that it has to be fastened to walls and stuff like that so they can't remove it. But I would have to get a hunting license, or I could join a shooting club where I could then potentially buy me a hand pew. But I will also have to store it, and there's rules that I can't keep the we call it the bottom piece, but you know where the strikers, I don't know what it's called in English, but we call it the bottom piece. That's the one where that pushes the gun and the lock, maybe. Well, the locking part of it. I can't keep that in the same as the weapon because then you can easily connect them and make it lethal. There's a whole lot of rules. I have a buddy of mine who has been in the military since 1995, still active, who is in a gun club. I think he's allowed to own 2 weapons under very, very special rules. But he carries a gun every day at work. Don't think about it, because if you ban guns, nothing bad happens. Oh, we just had a shooting last month. Well, only criminals uses guns now. M. Spire says, listen here, Broken Baker from Switzerland. I said us, not ass. So you're not in New Zealand? Isn't that New Zealand? Is it Australia? It's the same place. Doesn't matter, doesn't exist. It's like Arizona. It's just something you say if you live a shitty place. You, instead of saying, well, I live at the trailer park, you just say, well, I live in Australia, or I live in Arizona. It's fine. M-Spire is actually from Sweden. That's so bad you wanted to say, no, I'm from the fake makeup country of Australia. I'm so far behind. No, not the clip. The lower receiver, yeah, that. When you have your pew, then of course you have your slide. Under your slide, there's a, however it looks. That's that piece where the striker is. We call that the bottom piece. That's if you take that out, it doesn't go poo. Yeah, and I know there would be some springs and stuff like that to do the gas blowback, but it's that piece that has to be stored in a separate place than your actual pew. Remember, if you have a home invasion, you have the right to try and subdue them, but you can't use a weapon. You can use the amount of force necessary, but not go too far. Australia. Well, don't say Oz, because Oz means New Zealand. Yeah, it's like New Jersey. Yeah, no one would say that. Yeah, that endstykket. We call it bundstykket. Well, the firing pin is the one that protruded, but the what the hell? Do you call it a receiver or whatever hell do you call it? I'm not even sure I can show this on YouTube. This thing right here, the one where you can pop it up and then you can slide it out if it's a bolt action. Oh, then maybe it's called the bolt. But on an automatic, it'll be up here in the housing as well, and you have to you have to store your rifle without the. Maybe it's called a bolt. Well, a bolt rifle action. This is the bolt. We'll still call it a bottom piece, but this part of the weapon has to be stored somewhere else than the rest of it, because I don't know, but it has to be split up when it's stored, so you don't use it. You call it a dingle hopper. That's what I call a dingle hopper. That's a fork. Well, okay. I'm a little bit. It's not like I haven't tried by saying a lot of bad words lately. But is it still called a bolt if it's an... If you're probably, if you don't use bolt action, do you still call this the bolt? Of course I know The Little Mermaid. Disney classic is my jam when I use when I'm working legs. You still call it the bolt. Okay. It's a bolt carrier group. Okay. Well, we call this the bottom piece. Don't ask me why. But yeah, I hate disassembling this one. It's really annoying. I'm coming back. It's called the closing piece. I'll go with anime and say, okay, the bolt carrier group. But I always find those hella annoying to dismantle and clean. Do I know what a flugel binder is? No. not 100. No, it's just called the bottom piece of the rifle. It's if I translate it directly. I don't know why. I didn't make the rules. Power button group, that was Baker's real gang. No, that was my unsuccessful black metal group. Yeah, it's because it's a technical term. Google is not really good at the technical terms.
All right, the jury is present. We continue with the
plastic
state's
part of
case. The state may
shoestring.
call its next witness.
Call Wayne Walker with the Indian River Crime Laboratory.
Crime lab, finally. Oh, there's a new school class coming in now. I feel sad for those kids. Well, they saw my future ex-wife, but I feel sad that they had this boring commentary. They were thinking, oh, we're going to go to a murder case. And they learned about cell towers. Oh, he has a 5 head. I would say a 6 head.
Raise your right hand, face the clerk.
Do you swear or affirm that evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
If you could, please state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
My full name is Wayne Austin Walker Jr. My first name is spelled Wayne, and my last name is Walker.
All right. How is it that you're employed?
I'm a criminalist in the biology section at the Indian River Crime Lab.
And how long have you been working with the Indian River Crime Laboratory?
Since October of 2014.
All right. What is your specific job title?
I'm a criminalist in the biology section.
Criminalist. So what does a criminalist do?
So I examine items of evidence for biological material, such as blood, semen, and saliva. I then try to develop a DNA profile from unknown evidence samples. And if I am able to develop a DNA profile from that unknown evidence, I'll do a comparison to known standards that I have, and I'll perform statistical analysis to determine how common or rare that unknown profile is. And then I write a report and testify when needed.
Now, prior to being able to do this type of analysis, I assume you have to have some training and a certain education?
Yes, I do.
If you could tell the jury about your background as far as your education and then your training leading up to you doing this job.
From the University of Central Florida, I have a Bachelor's of Science degree in forensic biochemistry, along with minors in chemistry and micromolecular biology. And from the University of South Florida, I have a Master's of Science degree in medical science with a concentration in health science. I started my career at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement at the Orlando Regional Operations Center. I started as a forensic technologist in the biology section. Basically, it's an entry-level science position. I helped clean the lab, make chemicals, do some maintenance on some instruments. After about 1.5 years, I was promoted to a crime laboratory analyst in the biology section, at which point I went through about 1.5 year training program. It's divided into 2 phases. The first phase deals with readings and working on practice samples, and the readings are about the techniques used in DNA analysis as well as statistical methods used in DNA analysis. I then work practice samples. At the completion of the first phase, the second phase is supervised casework. So I started working actual cases under the direction of an already trained analyst. I was an analyst, caseworking analyst at FDLE for about 4 years before coming to the Indian River Crime Lab, at which point it was about a 6-month training program. I kind of say I used to work at McDonald's, now I work at Burger King. One makes Whoppers, the other makes Big Macs, but it's really just burgers and fries. So both labs are doing the same thing. Some things are a little different, and that's what the 6 month of training was about at Indian River Crime Lab.
All right. Now, as far as the Indian River Crime Lab, is that certified?
It's an accredited laboratory, yes.
All right. And do you have to continue to have training periodically to able to keep doing what you do for your living?
Yes, I am required to have at least 8 hours of continuing education each year.
All right. And have you ever testified previously in court?
Yes, I have.
Approximately how many times?
Roughly 60 times.
Now,
Can you, I guess, explain the difference to the jury between what is called, you referred to as an unknown standard or an unknown sample versus a known standard?
So when you have DNA, there's no name. It's really what it looks like is peaks on a graph. So when you get evidence from an unknown source, you just have these peaks on a graph. It doesn't tell you whose this is. So what we'll do is after we determine what we can interpret, I'll then compare it to a known standard, which usually comes in the form of an oral swab or a blood stain card or a blood swab from an individual. And that way I know what is this person's profile, what are the peaks that I would see, and I can use that to compare to the unknown profile from the evidence.
All right, and can you just explain the physical process of how you do a DNA? I guess, how does a typical case where you get some swabs or a sample in the lab, how does that work? What do you do?
So for the very first thing that I'll do when I get evidence is I make sure that the packaging is properly labeled and is sealed. The packaging is sealed, it's properly labeled. I'll do whatever testing may be required, what's called the serology or body fluid identification. And then I'll take samples on for DNA analysis. And the DNA analysis, the first step is called extraction. And this is basically adding some chemicals and heat and just trying to break open the cells to get to the DNA. The second step is called quantitation. So I actually want to know how much DNA is present in my sample, because how much DNA I have can affect my later processes. So I kind of think I like to use a lot of analogies. And this is sort of like orange juice concentrate. You don't just drink straight orange juice concentrate, you have to dilute it out. And the same thing happens with DNA. If I have too much DNA, that can affect my later processes. So I may have to make a dilution of that sample. On the flip side, if I have not a lot of DNA, if I don't get very good results, well, I know why I didn't get good results. There wasn't a lot of DNA to be processed. So it's also a good quality control measure. The next step is called amplification. And I actually don't look at all of an individual's DNA. We only look at 21 specific areas, and we make billions of copies of those 21 specific areas. This DNA is then, these copies of the DNA are then put on an instrument that separates it based off size. And this is represented graphically. These are the peaks on the graph I mentioned earlier. So it's these peaks on a graph that I will use to interpret.
All right, now as far as you use this term DNA, what is DNA?
DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. It's the genetic blueprint that makes up all life. Humans actually have 2 copies of DNA. You get 1 copy from your mother, you get 1 copy from your father. This is determined at conception, and it remains the same your entire life. And all the cells of your body have the same DNA. So whether it's your blood or your skin cells or the inside of your mouth, all of those cells have the same DNA profile, and no 2 individuals have the same DNA profile except for identical twins.
All right, so my DNA is my DNA alone. Nobody else has the same DNA. I don't have an identical twin, so no one else has the same DNA that I would have.
That's correct.
All right. So I want to talk about some of the evidence that you received in this case. Is one of the things that you can do at the crime laboratory is determine paternity or who the father is of a child?
Yes, we do paternity testing for criminal cases.
Okay, and were you asked to do some paternity testing in this particular case?
Yes, I was.
All right, so what I want to do is, before I show you any exhibits, how do you determine paternity? What do you need from the sheriff's office or from law enforcement to be able to do that analysis? What is required?
So first there'll be from the child, because I need their DNA profile, the mother, and again, so remember when I talked about DNA, humans have 2 copies, 1 comes from the mother. So from that child, if I know what the mother's DNA profile is, I can subtract out her DNA.
If you had to guess how many 7-irons I have in my hands right now, and you can't ask this forehead nerd, what would your guess be? Brandon, I'm thinking your wife has removed all of your golf equipment, blaming your illness on that, and the bottle girls that you saw at the driving range. So my guess will be 0. But you have your new crochet equipment, and Brandon will be joining Stitch and Bits on the Discord with the girls because he has a new hobby. His wife found that it would be way better for him to learn how to crochet instead of going to the golfing range.
And what I'm left over is what's obligate DNA from the father. The father has to have these peaks. So then I need standards from individuals who are the alleged father to do a comparison. And then if I cannot exclude that alleged father, I'll perform statistical analysis to give some weight to that person's inclusion as a possible alleged father.
All right. So in this particular case, then, and these have already been entered into evidence, States Exhibits 9 and 144. States Exhibit 9 is the blood standard of Josiah Wise. And then States Exhibit 144 would be the blood standard of Tania Wise. Can you take a look at those and let me know if you recognize those exhibits?
Yes, I do.
How is it that you recognize them?
So on both of the exhibits, there is a barcode sticker from the Indian River Crime Lab that has the Indian River Crime Lab case number and exhibit number. And then it's covered up with a sticker here, but you can see it more clearly here. I hand wrote the Indian River Crime Lab case number, the exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
All right. So were you able to get a DNA profile for each of those two standards?
Yes, I was.
All right. So those would be the mother and the child. What is missing for you to then determine whether or not someone's the father?
A standard from an alleged father.
All right. And did you receive additional standards in this case from some males?
Yes, I did.
What I'd like to do is provide you with States Exhibit 8, which is the DNA standard of Eric Alvarez. States Exhibit 162, the DNA standard of Mark Burke. States Exhibit 163, the DNA standard of Giovanni Alvarado. And then States Exhibit 164, the DNA standard of Bradley Rodriguez. Mr. Walker, do you recognize those exhibits?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize them?
So again, each of them I'll put up two at a time that have the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker with the Indian River Crime Lab case number and exhibit number. And then I hand wrote, and I'll put the other two, I hand wrote the Indian River Crime Lab case number, exhibit numbers, the date I examined these, and my initials.
All right. And were you able to get a standard DNA profile for each of those individuals we just listed?
Yes, I was.
All right. And then did you do a comparison to the previously referenced standard of Josiah Wise, the baby, and the victim, Tania Wise, to see if any of those individuals could be the father of Josiah Wise?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what were the results of that analysis?
So the DNA profiles from the child, baby Wise, and the mother, Tania Wise, were compared with these alleged fathers. And these individuals are not consistent with having the DNA profile of that required to be the child's biological father.
Okay. Can you confidently say that?
Yes.
Okay. How can you say that?
The obligate markers that are needed, these individuals, maybe there might be some sharing, but they don't have, there are places where they are missing an obligate that needs to be present. So they would be excluded as the alleged father.
All right. Now I'd like to show you what's been marked by the evidence, States Exhibit 161. This is the DNA swab of Jose Soto-Escalera. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize that?
It has the Indian River Crime Lab barcode with the case number and exhibit number. And then I hand wrote, again, it's covered, but I hand wrote the Indian River Crime Lab case number, exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials would be under that sticker.
All right. And were you able to get a complete male DNA profile from that standard?
Yes, I was.
All right. And did you compare that standard to those previously analyzed of baby Wise and Tania Wise?
Yes, I did.
Were you able to reach a conclusion as to whether or not the defendant in this case, Jose Soto-Escalera, is the biological father of Josiah Wise?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And what was your conclusion?
So the DNA profiles from the child, baby Wise, and the mother, Tania Wise, were compared with that of the alleged father, Jose Soto-Escalera. The DNA profile from Jose Soto-Escalera is consistent with that required of the child's biological father. And now I'm going to read two stats that give statistical weight to that statement. The first is what's called the parentage index. And this is an odds ratio that determines how much more likely the alleged parent is to be the biological parent than an unknown random individual. And the parentage index is approximately 241 trillion. The next stat is called the probability of parentage. This is the chance that the alleged parent is the biological parent when compared to a random individual. And this is approximately 99.9999999999.
Is that 10 nines?
Yes, it is.
So
99.109%. Yeah, percent.
That he's the father of the child?
Yes.
In addition to those standards, did you also receive swabs from evidence in this case?
Yes, I did.
All right. What is StarMix?
StarMix?
Yeah.
So StarMix is a software.
StarMix is a Haribo mix of, the foam kind of candy and wine gums. It's amazeballs, especially the wine gum cherries. Go for that. great. I didn't know we were talking about that today because I really like Star Mix. It's a little licoricey, probably not for all of you Yanks, but well, this is the top Star Mix. This is different, but you can see the foamy parts and the wine gums. It's I like Star Mix, and it's share size. That's what they call it after they made the bag smaller. But that's good. Can we get to the DNA part?
Program. It's called probabilistic genotyping software program. And StarMix, it's a tool that's used to help interpret data for DNA analysts. It uses biological modeling, probability theory, statistical theory, and computer algorithms to help infer the DNA profiles that would explain the unknown profile that I have.
This is the real one. Stjerne is star in Danish. Look, the little eggs. Oh, they're good.
That you've received in this particular case. The first one I want to show you is States Exhibit 7. Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
Okay. How do you recognize that?
It has the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number, and then I hand wrote the crime lab case number, exhibit number, the date I examined this, in my initials.
All right, for the record, you're looking at States Exhibit 7, which is a DNA swab from a flashlight. Were you able to, I guess, what do you do when you get that swab in the lab, and what happened after you did your examination? And I believe for you, the number 295781.
So what I did with this exhibit is I tested it for DNA. I took a cutting, put that in a tube, and then performed the DNA analysis method on it.
And did you find any DNA on that item?
Yes, I did.
All right. And did you compare it then to the profiles? Well, I guess, did you find a major contributor or a minor contributor?
So my results of what I got was a DNA profile obtained from the swabs of the flashlight was consistent with being a mixture of a major and a minor component. A male DNA profile was obtained from the major component of this mixture at 15 locations. Results at the remaining 6 locations were inconclusive due to insufficient DNA quality and/or quantity.
So did you compare the major contributor, the DNA profile that you found, to the males that we previously referenced?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did it match any of them?
They were all excluded as a contributor to the major profile.
All right. So there you found, to summarize States Exhibit 7, found some male DNA is on it. It's present, but it doesn't match Mark Burke, Giovanni Alvarado, Eric Alvarado, Bradley Rodriguez, or the defendant.
That's correct.
All right. States Exhibit 160, hair from Nike shoe. Do you recognize that item?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize that one?
It has the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number. I hand wrote the crime lab case number, the exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
All right. And based on your examination of that item, what came of it?
So for hair, I do an examination of the root end of a hair. Hair probably is the thing that is most, there's a lot of misinformation from TV and things like that. A lot of hair falls out naturally, and you can't get nuclear DNA, the type of DNA testing I do, from that hair. The hairs that we need to get DNA from have to actually be pulled.
No, he is the Drex guy, but he's gotten fatter and paler
from the head, so there's some skin material. So I looked at the root end of the hair that was on this, and it was found to be eligible for nuclear DNA analysis. But when I did my testing, it was subjected to DNA extraction procedures, but it failed to yield sufficient STR DNA. So basically what that means is this hair, when I looked under a microscope, it was good enough to at least try. But when I did the DNA process, there's no DNA on this sample.
So you can't do anything with it because there was no DNA.
There's no nuclear DNA.
All right. And then I want to ask you the same questions for some additional items. These are all involved. It's States Exhibit 22, hair from left hand. States 23, hair left thigh. States 24, hair left waist. States Exhibit 25, hair left side. States Exhibit 26, hair from inside back of blue underwear. And then 27, hair from back of gray and blue underwear. Do you recognize those items?
Yes, I do.
And how do you recognize it?
So it's under this green card, but each of them has the crime lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number. And then I can see my handwritten, I handwrote the case number, exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
And the analysis that you just described in reference to hair, did you also perform that same analysis for each of those exhibits?
Yes, I did. I examined them microscopically.
And what were your conclusions? Were you able to get any nuclear, DNA for examination?
So I didn't even try. These were, after looking at a microscope, they were unsuitable for nuclear DNA analysis.
Okay, and what do you see that makes it unsuitable?
The hair, when it's unsuitable, it'll kind of have like a baseball bat shape. And that is because the hair is actually coming out of the follicle. So it detaches itself from the follicle. So it starts to shorten and becomes bulbous. And there's no, what I can see under a microscope of looking like skin, we call it a follicular tag. So no skin or anything like that on there. So if it's just this kind of looks like a bulb, baseball bat, some people call it like a light bulb, then it's not even, I'm not going to attempt nuclear DNA analysis. I probably won't get anything.
All right. Now I want to ask you about some items that have already been entered into evidence. These are swabs from the victim. We have State's Exhibit 11, DNA swabbing from left-hand fingernail. States 12, DNA swabbing from right-hand fingernail. 13, fingernail scraping left ring. 14, fingernail scraping right thumb. States 15, fingernail scraping right middle. 16, DNA swabbing from left breast. And 17, DNA swabbing from right breast. Same questions as before. Do you recognize them? How do you recognize them?
I always feel that those big, the chocolate Santas and the big, it's not as good. I would rather just have the small ones. They have another mix Haribo. I always get when I'm in Germany. I have to figure out what that is. I really love that one because it has, I don't even know what to call it. This one, the Colorado mix. Oh, it's good. I love the Colorado mix.
Again, it's probably the best. They each have the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker with the case number, exhibit number, and then I've handwritten the case number, exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
All right. And for all of the victim swabs, did you perform an examination?
Yes, I did.
Did you find any DNA that was foreign to the victim on those items?
So I did additional testing on some of the items first, which is I tested them a presumptive test for blood. So the swabs from the left-hand fingernails, the swabs from the right-hand fingernails, and the swabs from the right breast, they tested positive chemically, indicating the presence of blood. I then did DNA analysis, and for all of these exhibits, the results were there were no DNA results foreign to Tania Wise were found on these following exhibits.
But some of them did have blood present.
They did not.
They did not have blood present.
Or they did not have a red-brown staining that would give me an idea to look for blood, to do my testing for blood.
All right. Now I want to ask you about State's Exhibit 18 that's been entered. It's the vaginal swabs from the sexual assault kit that's already been entered into evidence. Do you recognize that item?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
So this item came from a larger package that would have the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker. So this was inside, but I still handwrite the exhibit number, the case number, the date I examined it, and my initials, and those are present on here.
All right.
Yeah.
And what analysis do you?
But when he was this corroborative and give them the phone and everything, but still claims I haven't talked to her ever, and I only knew her when she came over to my house. At least it smells fishy. And again, we know the jury doesn't care about evidence. They get a feeling, and then they'll vote guilty.
you do anything different or a different chemical test for this because it's a vaginal swab from a sexual assault kit?
Yes, so for the vaginal swabs, they tested negative chemically and microscopically for the presence of seminal fluid.
All right, so once you know that result, do you go any further with that?
Yes, so just because there's not semen, there could have been perhaps oral assault or digital penetration, so there could be DNA foreign to the victim on this sample anyway. Every time someone has sex, it doesn't mean they ejaculated. So I did DNA analysis on this sample, and the vaginal swabs were subjected to DNA extraction procedures, but they failed to yield sufficient male DNA for STR analysis. No further analysis was performed on this exhibit.
All right, so based on the results that you got at the crime lab, you couldn't do any further analysis.
That's correct.
I'd like to show you what's been marked for been entered in evidence, States Exhibit 33. This is the swabbing of the rear passenger door pull of the Dodge Ram truck. Do you recognize that?
Yes,
No.
I do.
How do you recognize it?
Well, you can go back and see my future ex-wife, but other than that, it's just been more evidence put in. The only good thing is my future ex-wife was talking about that their cell phones were in the same area.
So it has the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker with the exhibit number and case number. And then I hand wrote the crime lab's case number, exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
All right, did you perform the same DNA analysis on that item?
Yes, I did.
And what were the results of your examination?
Oh, okay. So from this item, I obtained a mixture of DNA profiles from 2 individuals was obtained from the swabs from the rear passenger door pull. And then I did do a comparison to the standards that I have.
All right, and would those have been Eric Alvarado, Jose Soto-Escalera, Mark Burke, Giovanni Alvarado, Tania Wise, and Josiah Wise?
Yes.
And I think Miss Bradley Rodriguez. What were your results?
So Eric Alvarado, he cannot be excluded as a possible contributor to this mixture. For the locations I was able to perform statistics at, the probability that a randomly chosen unrelated individual would be included as a possible contributor to this mixture is approximately 1 in 137 billion. Bradley Rodriguez, Jose Soto-Escalera, Mark Burke, Giovanni Alvarado, Tania Wise, and Baby Wise are excluded as possible contributors to this mixture.
So on the rear passenger swab, Eric Alvarado cannot be excluded, but the rest of the people that you have standards for can.
That's correct.
Next, I'd like to show you what's been entered into evidence of States Exhibit 152, the swabbing from the front passenger headrest.
You recognize that one?
Yes, I do. So it has the crime lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number, and then I hand wrote the case number, the exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
All right. And did you perform an analysis on this exhibit, States Exhibit 152?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and what were the results?
Mixtures of DNA profiles from at least 3 individuals was obtained on the swabs from the front passenger headrest. Due to the complexity of this mixture, no further conclusions are possible regarding this profile.
All right. Is there ever a time where evidence that's been examined by your crime laboratory is then also sent to another lab?
It does happen occasionally, yes.
Okay, did that happen in this case?
Yes, it did.
How does that happen?
So it depends. There's different ways. For this situation, the sheriff's office wanted to have additional testing done that is not performed at the end.
Maybe he didn't want to talk about it being his baby because he knew that would land him in the crosshairs, and she was banging someone else, and maybe he thought it was his baby. We don't know. Again, don't try and use hindsight on this. Don't try and say, well, he should have this emotion, because he's probably been instructed have no emotions, because the jury will sit there, and if he does this when he sees autopsy photos, oh, he's just playing up, or he's really surprised. No, they are instructed, don't show any emotions, don't do anything. So all of this bullshit that people will get you to watch on YouTube about how they can read Wendy Adelson on the stand, it's pure bullshit. But it's really good bullshit, because sadly way too many people watches it and believe these people can tell you what is going on inside someone's brain. Again, not every person emotes their feelings the same way. So all this body language BS, how you should react, no. You might react that way, or you might expect a reaction like that, but it's not everyone who does it. So I don't know why Dr. G and all of these assholes get so many views, but oh my God, I should just I'm reading tea leaves, and trust me, I know, because apparently you can just fill people with bullshit and they will come.
River Crime Lab. So when I do my testing, that first step is called extraction. That's getting the DNA out of the cell. What's left over is like
I hate body language channels because they lie to people. I know I'll never be the biggest because I will never go full clickbait and just sit here and fill people with bullshit. So I will never be the biggest YouTuber. Fine by me, but at least I feel I can watch myself in the mirror when I'm done. Just like Zach, when he's doing it, he's watching himself in the mirror. Weird, but trying to for 22 months.
Is a small amount of liquid. I don't use all that liquid. I use a portion of it, and then we retain or save that in case there's ever further testing that's needed. So this extract was given to the sheriff's office, and if they pursued further testing, they would be able to with that extract.
Right, so for some of the exhibits in this case,
look at
there were extracts that were made, or was
lied
that
to
something you do on
everyone.
every single piece of
Became one of the biggest
Every piece of evidence
channels.
does start with the DNA process. There is an extract left over because it's extracted. So then there's an extract.
So for every swab, there were extracts, but the extracts themselves can be sent to other labs if additional testing.
But if you saw one tear, you would be saying, why isn't there two tears? Or why is there a tear? He's trying to hide it. You will never get the reaction that you like, because any reaction you would look through your eyes and, oh, I think he's guilty. Oh, he's playing. Or, oh, she's clearly innocent. Oh, she's just having to keep it in. No reaction will ever be the correct reaction, because how I see it, or how you see it, or how Fedorowski sees it, we see it every different way. And that's why you can't tell me what is the correct emotional reaction to something. When my mom called me and told her, well, I'm not in remission anymore, and I'm going to die within 6 months, I actually yelled at her and hung up, because my brain didn't compute it. I got really angry at her because I was going to get my kids, and it was my weekend with the kids, and she was calling me, and it was annoying, and then I drove for like 15 minutes, and all of a sudden, oh, my mom just told me she was going to die, and I tried to call her back, and she didn't pick up. So yeah, I was piss crying while I was driving. But my initial reaction was I was angry as hell. So what's the right way? There is no right way. And there's no one who can tell you how this guy will react. And that's the thing. Everyone is always demanding the emotional reflection that they want. But what if he's not a person who does that? When my dad died in my arms, I went into crisis mode because I knew I had to inform everyone. I didn't cry. I had tears at the church, but I didn't break down and cry over my dad's death till New Year's Eve, which was 6 months later, because I had been in fix-it mode. So I don't think that that you can ever tell how anyone will react to anything. You expect a certain reaction, but that's not necessarily how anyone else reacts.
It was requested by the agency.
Yes, it can.
Okay. And are you aware whether or not that was done in this case?
The only part I know is that the extract was given to the sheriff's office. I don't know what happened with it afterwards.
What I'd like to show you next is State's Exhibit 153, swabbing from...
No legal or murder advice on this channel.
Steering wheel. Do you recognize that exhibit?
Yes, I do.
Okay, is another item that went to your lab in reference to this case?
Yes, it did, and I can recognize it. It has the crime lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number, and then I hand wrote the case number, the exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
All right, and what were your results in reference to State's Exhibit 153, the steering wheel?
The DNA profile obtained from the swabs of the Dodge truck steering wheel was consistent with being a mixture of a major and a minor component. The male DNA profile obtained from the major component of the mixture matches the DNA profile obtained from the oral standard from Jose Soto-Escalera at 15 locations. Comparisons at the remaining 6 locations were inconclusive due to inconclusive are inconclusive due to insufficient DNA quantity and or quality. For those 15 areas, the frequency with which the major evidence DNA profile is expected to be found in an unrelated individual in the population at large is 1 in 288 quintillion, and then no comparisons are possible to the minor component of the mixture profile due to insufficient DNA quantity and or quality.
All right. So the major contributor in this case is Jose Soto-Escalera.
His profile matches, and then this is a stat to give weight. So
Okay. And it's the number that you gave?
Yes. So what that number is what is the chance that you were to randomly select a person, an unrelated person from the population at large, and they would also happen to match? For this major profile, it's 1 in 288 quintillion.
How many zeros is quintillion?
Quintillion has 18 zeros, so it's 1 followed by 18 zeros. To get to a quintillion is a billion times a billion.
So that's a high number.
A quintillion is a large number, yes.
Now I want to show you States Exhibit 154. You recognize this one?
Yes, I do. It has the Crime Lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number. And then I hand wrote the Crime Lab case number, exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
All right. And what were the results of your analysis on this item 154?
So the DNA profile obtained from the swabs of the Dodge truck driver's door was consistent with being a mixture of a major and a minor component. The male DNA profile obtained from the major component of this mixture matches the DNA profile obtained from the oral standard from Jose Soto-Escalera at 12 locations. Comparisons at the remaining 9 locations were inconclusive due to insufficient DNA quantity and or quality. For those 12 locations, the frequency at which the major evidence DNA profile is expected to be found in an unrelated individual in the population at large is approximately 1 in 40 quadrillion. No comparisons are possible to the minor component of this mixture profile.
Yeah, and there might be 11 jurors who see it like I do, or there might be 12 jurors who see it every which way. There's no correct emotional outburst because people will see it different. How did you read Amber Heard? A lot of people believe that Amber Heard was truthful. I actually just saw yesterday that they believe that Johnny Depp should be treated like Charlie Kirk because he treated Amber Heard so poorly. I thought she showed us why she never had a leading role in Hollywood until she banged her way to the top. But there's still people out there who believed, oh, she's innocent. This
due to insufficient DNA quantity and or quality.
Now I want to show you what's been entered into evidence. Swabbing from top of armrest, States Exhibit 155. You recognize that one?
Yes, I do. It has the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number. And then I hand wrote the case number, the exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
All right. What was the results of your analysis on States 155?
This was an inconclusive mixture of DNA profiles was obtained from the swabs of the driver armrest top and is not suitable for comparison to any known standards.
So based on what you saw, there's nothing you can do with that. No further testing you can do.
Yeah, so this is an inconclusive mixture. There's so a mixture is being DNA from more than one person, but I can't interpret and tease out the different contributors. So I can't interpret this data.
I want to show you now entry to States 156, swabbing from the bottom of the armrest. Do you recognize it?
Yes, I do. It has the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number. And then I hand wrote the case number, the exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
And what were the results of the examination on that one?
This also was an inconclusive mixture of DNA profiles was obtained from the swabs of the driver armrest bottom that are not suitable for comparison to any known standards.
All right. And now we'll show you what's been entered in States Exhibit 28, DNA swabs, driver door behind handle. Same question. Do you recognize it? How do you recognize it?
I recognize it. It has the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number. And then, again, I can't see, but I hand wrote the case number, the exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials are on this package.
All right. And for States 28, what were the results of your analysis?
So from this, there was an insufficient DNA/data was obtained from the swabs of the driver door behind the handle that is not suitable for comparison to any known standards.
All right, so insufficient on this one, because the last two previous you said were inconclusive. So insufficient is there's not even enough DNA?
Yeah, so this insufficient is just, there's not enough, and it's still very complex to be able to interpret. So inclusive, there's a little bit more data. Insufficient, there's less data, and that's why I'm not able to interpret it.
All right, and then I'd like to show you States Exhibit 157, driver's door panel.
top edge of storage area swab. Do you recognize it? How do you recognize it?
I do recognize it, and it's from the Crime Lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number, and then I hand wrote the Crime Lab's case number, exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
All right, what were your results for that one?
For this item, there was also insufficient DNA/data that was obtained from the swabs of the top edge of a driver door storage that is not suitable for comparison to any known standards.
All right, and then we get to State's Exhibit 158, DNA swabbing from front driver seatbelt. Do you recognize it? How do you recognize it?
I recognize it because it has the Indian River Crime Lab barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number, and then I hand wrote the Crime Lab's case number, exhibit number, the date I examined it, and there's my initials.
All right, what were your results as to State's Exhibit 158, the swabs from the seatbelt buckle on the driver's side?
The DNA profile obtained from the swabs from the front driver's seatbelt buckle was consistent with being a mixture of a major and minor component. The male DNA profile obtained from the major component of this mixture matches the DNA profile obtained from the oral standard from Jose Soto-Escalera at 7 locations. Comparisons at the remaining 14 locations were inconclusive due to insufficient DNA quantity and or quality. For those 7 locations, the frequency with which the major evidence DNA profile is expected to be found in an unrelated individual in the population at large is approximately 1 in 12 billion. No comparisons are possible to the minor component of this mixture profile due to insufficient quantity and or quality.
Okay. What I'd like to ask you about now is State's Exhibit 29. It's a section of carpet from the driver's side of the Dodge Ram. You can take a look at this exhibit and tell me if you recognize it.
Yes, I do. It has the Crime Lab's barcode sticker with the case number and exhibit number, and then my initial, or I'm sorry, I hand wrote the case number, the exhibit number, the date I examined it, and my initials.
All right, now obviously in all the other exhibits you had swabs. This one is different. Is there any difference in the process of what you do?
So the main difference is for an item like this, it's a larger item, so I kind of look over it. The request was that is there the possibility of blood being on this? So I'm looking for any discoloration, not just red blood stains, but sometimes blood can appear blackish. So I would look for any staining like that, and then I'll perform testing on presumptive testing for blood. And then possibly, if that's positive, I'll do DNA testing.
All right, so on this particular piece of evidence, did you do the chemical testing to determine whether or not there was blood?
Yes, I did.
And what were the results of that test?
The carpet tested positive chemically, indicating the presence of blood.
All right, so now that you know that you have blood, do you do DNA analysis?
Yes, I did.
All right, were you able to get any DNA evidence from that carpet?
Yes, so the DNA profile obtained from the carpet was consistent with being a mixture of a major and a minor component. The female DNA profile obtained from the major component of this mixture matches the DNA profile obtained from the blood standard from.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. The baseline. All of these people who sell you body language on YouTube have no baseline. That's the big problem. That's why I hate that they sell themselves as experts. I even see them go on court TV, but they also have Caffey Daffy on, so not that much of an expert.
From Tania Wise at all 21 locations. For those 21 locations, the frequency with which the major evidence DNA profile is expected to be found in an unrelated individual in the population at large is approximately 1 in 87 non-million. No comparisons are possible to the minor component of the mixture profile due to insufficient DNA quantity and or quality.
All right, so when you first started testifying, I think you said you guys look for matches on all 21 loci. Is that right?
So we look at 21 areas. Those are 21 areas we amplify. When I have the data, I try to interpret as many of those areas as I can. Some of them you can't. Whether it's not enough data is present there or it's too complex. So before I look at any standards, we look and interpret our unknown evidence first. So I first look at my unknown evidence. I determine what areas could be used for comparison, and then I look at standards to compare to.
All right, so say for the one we just did, the seatbelt buckle from the driver's side, that's State's Exhibit 158. You received that first as an unknown, and you determine a major and a minor, and then once you have that profile, then you compare it to our standards.
That's correct.
And when you compared it on that particular item, State's 158, it matched on 7 out of the 21.
There were 7 that were possible to be compared to.
Okay, and then the other 14 you could not.
Correct.
And that produced a number that the frequency was 1 in 12 billion.
Yes.
Okay, so then we go to this one. just so I can comprehend this. So on this one, it was an unknown sample that you found. First, you tested it chemically for blood. Then there's an unknown standard, and then you compare that to a known standard.
I tested it. I did the chemical test for blood. I did DNA analysis. I have the DNA analysis from this carpet. That's my unknown sample. I interpret the unknown data first, determine what I can interpret.
Slidey, you don't ask a man that question. It's like asking a woman her age or her weight. How big it is always 6 inches.
And then once I've done that, then I compare it to any standards that I have.
And on this one, you indicated it matched on all 21.
Because all 21 areas were able to be resolved.
And 87 non-million. It was the frequency in this one was 1 in 87 non-million. How many zeros is non-million?
A non-million is 1 followed by 30 zeros. So to get to a non-million is 1 billion times 1 billion times 1 billion times 1,000.
All right. And for this one, the major contributor was Tania Wise.
So she matches that major component.
And is that the highest number that we've heard of since you started testifying?
Yes, I believe so.
I don't have any other questions at this time.
Very briefly. Sir, you also did a test on a condom that was found at the scene?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Soto-Escalera, Mr. Burke, Mr. Giovanni Alvarado, and Eric Alvarado's standards were excluded as contributors to the DNA on that condom. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
Almost as many zeros as in the anti-free Karen Reed movement. Bakadaboom. Yes, I'm bored.
And you also did DNA testing on a flashlight in this case?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and there was a male DNA profile found on that flashlight. However, Jose Soto-Escalera was excluded as a contributor to the DNA on that flashlight. Is that accurate?
To the major component, yes.
Okay, and when we talk about DNA, it doesn't necessarily have to come from blood, correct?
Correct. So it just comes from cells.
Okay, and in fact, when we take buccal swabs, that's getting what's called an epithelial cell from the inside of your mouth, right?
Yes.
Okay, so epithelial cells meaning like skin cells, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have any further questions.
Any further questions from the state?
Can we vote, John?
Sure.
Are we getting to lunch? We need the cousin. Now we have the DNA. Now we need the cousin who knew everything. Yeah, they had mixed DNA.
Give you a longer lunch. Ask you to come back at 1:45 downstairs to the jury assembly room. Please remember, avoid any extrajudicial information about the case. Don't do any research. Don't talk to
Are we gonna
anyone.
get that
Enjoy
one
your
here?
lunch, and we'll see you at 1:45. Please leave your notes on your chairs.
Come on, to the locomotion. Well, DNA evidence is always just in one ear, out another ear. And yeah, they were mixed DNA profiles and it was his kid. That's what I heard. But did the jury catch that? Because they're sitting here nonillion, badillion, gradillion. I think they have to put it in the closing arguments because no one got it. Well, instead he should yell at his lawyers and say, why the hell have we had so many breaks all morning? Come on, I need, I swear I got me.
All right. Jury has exited. And
Just, so I've instructed the witness that we're going to be back at 1:45.
okay, he's still on stand. 1:45.
Still on stand.
Okay. All right, we'll see y'all at 1:45. Enjoy your lunch.
What about the Wadia? Yeah, her DNA was on the driver's side, right? I don't, because yeah, I got a little confused already. Sometimes I feel like Mo. I'm just sitting here and the feet is moving, but the dog is absolutely calm. It gets a little annoying, but the baby was his. Yeah, of course you'd like that. I really don't think that we should be objectifying people when we are watching trials. Who would ever do that and say, oh, I think that person is hot? Ginger, be better. Because that's degrading, degrading, degrading. He has cute little dimples when he smiles too. Come on now. Let's not do that thing where we objectify. This is a grown-up channel where we don't objectify. Look how pretty future Mrs. X Baker is. Confident, a little junk in the trunk. You shouldn't objectify, Ginger. It's unbecoming to treat people that way. They are people too. It's misandry is what it is. Yes. Horrible. I have had a house guest who taught me about feminisms and manisms over the weekend. And I am against objectifying because no one ever objectifies trailer trash. Trailer park, no. Twisted Trailer Trash was her name. No one ever objectifies her. Most of them say, the only objectify I want to give you is a shoe in the face. And that's not nice. So if you're going to swoon over one, you have to swoon over all. I am a boob man. Yes, I don't get the butt thing because I'm a kid of the 90s. Remember, I don't know. Have you ever seen that SNL sketch where I first got only to you? Remember what the things in the media were when I grew up? Janet Jameson, Pamela Anderson, Victoria Silvstedt. Back then, ladies could have a meal. They didn't have to look like 14-year-old boys like they do today. 1:45, yes. Yeah, it's an hour and 45. So Baker is going to have so many divorces that began on the roof of a Waffle House. I think this lady is way more classic. I think this is at least a backseat of a Dodge kind of girl. Well, Twisted Trailer Trash. Is trailer trash really trailer trash? No, she lives, I don't know if she still, but at some point she lived in a migrant hotel. I don't know if she still lives there. Oh, Denise Richards. Oh, she might have grown up to be a kind of coke-riddled OnlyFans girl, but back in the day, when she played, what was her name? Christmas Jones in The World Is Not Enough. That's when I thought she was going to play Laura Croft. She had the Laura Croft look in that movie. She was a beautiful lady. What's the girl from? Oh, Jennifer Love Hewitt, also boobtastic. She's still. I haven't seen her in a long time. I saw she was doing OF with her daughter. Then I lose any interest because I find it weird. Again, do what you want to do. But kind of like with the Courtney Clenny thing, where her dad was the guy who uploaded her content and took care of her business. If my daughters came and said, "Hey, Dad, get ready for a surprise, but you're really good with Canva. Can you go in and do some stuff?" That wouldn't be a fun Christmas. Sarah Michelle Gellar. I like the Buffy series. I didn't think she was that hot. Well, that's how I read it, and that's why I was like, yeah. Samantha Fox, well, that's a little before my time. I remember her in the magazines, but that's a little before my time. I'm from the time where Samantha Fox was coming out as a lesbian. That was the big thing. But hey, I still like a good boys video because her titlets was always falling out of her t-shirt. Wild Things, good movie, yes. Jessica Love huge tits. Behave. And I saw, wasn't she the one who came out for something and everyone was like, oh, she's gotten fat. Yes, she's gotten 20 years older. She probably had some kids. Do you know what happens when you get older? You don't look like you did when you were 18. So what? She's still an amazingly beautiful woman. I can't with that hypocrisy where, well, they have to look. They don't look like they're 18. I don't look like when I was 18. I look more like this when I was 18. Well, I'm actually 20 in this picture. I don't look that anymore, and I'm 27 years old now. So, and I still think she's a beautiful, beautiful woman. It's yeah. I don't understand a lot of people. One person who hasn't aged with grace is Britney Spears. Something weird is going on with her face. I can't figure it out. It's weird. She doesn't look like Britney Spears because Britney Spears was that cute girl next door kind of look where they tried to smack it up. But the way she looks now, she looks really bad. Maybe some rehab. I don't know. I want to have some fun. Yeah. Nikki Taylor. Oh, Yasmin Bleeth. Oh. Yasmin Bleeth. I remember people were like, when she was on Baywatch, she's not as hot as the other one. Have you seen her in that show with the guy who works for the FBI? And she looks almost exactly the same. She's such a beautiful lady. Oh. I'm having a down period. Maybe I should go look at some stuff. Demi Moore has had too much facial surgery. Demi Moore, after G.I. Jane, I don't really think it's not my style. It's not her teeth, her entire face have changed. And it's not like she's gotten rounder or skinnier. It just looks different. I don't know what's wrong. Brooke Burke, Wild on E, sold my teenage dream to the devil. I don't know who Brooke Burke is. No, I'm not the biggest fan. After G.I. Jane, suck my sir. Yeah, I don't know if it's because of all the drug use, but it's the same. We talked about it yesterday. Well, I talked because I just ramble. Jenna Ortega, between the two seasons, I never watched Wednesday, not my kind of show, but I saw some pictures and I thought, hey, she looks kind of like, was it Nicole Richie? No, who was the one who played her in the original or the 90s movie? She kind of looked like her. And then I saw her do that award thing with Aubrey Plaza, and I thought, well, maybe she's not in film makeup, maybe that's why. And now she looks like she has a different face. And of course you can get a different face over 10-15 years because hey, you lose weight, you gain weight, something happens. But she looks like a totally different woman between two seasons of a show that might have been 2 years between the recording of it. it's horrible what they do to people in Hollywood, and that's why let's get the real ladies back, not have all of that early 2000s fashion women look, because to be honest, how many guys really want to rail someone who looks like a bicycle? Not a lot of us. Is it true that Winona Ryder and Keanu have been married for years, or is that clickbait? I have no idea. I know she dated Johnny Depp back in the day, but I saw her at an award show once where she held a speech, and I think that lady is a little. I don't have Netflix, so you can't watch it with me. And I didn't watch the first season, so I would be doing the Jamie thing. Who's that? Why are they there? Can she do this? Who is that? Is that important? When did they do that? Who's that? You don't want to see it with me. No, Keanu is not gay. Yeah, I think he's very much out of the limelight. Isn't she Italian or French or something, the one he's married to? I just think he's very low-key with his private life. Jennifer Aniston looks like she hasn't aged a day. She's also a very pretty lady. Courtney Cox got booblets bolted on. That kind of looked weird because we know her from being that skinny, not that front-heavy person. And then I saw that show where she's in Florida, maybe, and she had boobular bolt-ons. And that just looked weird. Even though I am a boob person. My daughter was mad for Jessica Alba. Jessica Alba was very pretty. Very pretty. Sue Storm. Very pretty lady. They got engaged in their roles in Dracula. That's about it. I think they dated for a little while, but I'm not sure. I know she dated Johnny Depp, but was she the one who was supposed to be in Godfather 3 and got a nervous breakdown? I think she was the one. And then they had to go with Coppola's daughter, who is probably one of the worst actresses ever in a major movie. Yes, including Amber Heard. First things that comes up when Googling is Keanu marries at 60. That's a lot of clickbait out there. Don't go for it. No, I don't know. 140. Did he say 12? Yeah, 145. Jesus Christ. That's almost 2 hours. Well, they must be about to end then because, yeah. Holy moly. Well, I'm going to jump off and go eat my dinner and then maybe go for a walk or something because that's a long time. Oh. Well, go out, get some fresh air. Wonder why when I didn't catch this one when I went through it. Let's just have some fun before we go. Let's make fun of some trash. There's a lot of funny stuff on the interwebs that you can follow or not follow. And I might have been bored a little bit because it was DNA evidence. So I saw this one. This is Sean, who imagines what LG would say. Judge, The 9:12 a.m. search is wrong per Ian Whiffen. It was past midnight on Christmas Eve. I was scared of Turtle Boy. I called Mello on speakerphone. He yelled, "Somebody Google two slutty friends with big bouncy titlets getting effed side by two horny honks." Yes. This is a 9:12:10. She has a lot of corn searches in the morning. This lady, she's not going to be a future Mrs. X Baker, but I think she's fun for a night. Then you have an STD and you're a restraining order, but still, it's going to be a fun night. You don't know who Samantha Fox is? Tell me you don't know who Sabrina is either. Do you even know 99 Luftballons? Do you know Nina? Samantha Fox. Ugh. She was a singer. Mm-hmm. Look at this beautiful 80s picture. The puffy shoulders, the puffy hair. She was very very popular with the boys back in the day because she has a great set of mammary glands, but she is a lesbian. Who used the term hunk? Well, there's also one where a small twink is being with a hunk with a big. Fill in the holes. Well, apparently they did that in that video. I'm not searching any of the stuff she's searching. I'm just saying she's a lot on XNXX and Cornhub. Well, then you should know Samantha because they had a duet. Should I pull up? Hvad sagde du? Sagde du sa? Sagde du bris? Sagde du nær? Let me get a picture from back in the day. Yeah, her album cover. This is Sabrina. Funky Girl, My Chico, Pirate of Love. I thought it said Butts and Dolls, but I think it says Guys and Dolls. Smecks, Like a Yo-Yo, All of Me, Doctor's Orders. So imagine if that came out today. People will get absolutely over it. There was news in the Birdsmore trial. Yes, I mentioned it yesterday. That, what's his name? Denver claims that someone is trying to set him up and he wasn't in contact with Birdsmore on the day that she passed away. I'm keeping an eye on it. It's an old news that broke now. So I don't know how much is in it, but apparently he's the guy who stopped us working as a police officer when the Birdsmore trial popped to begin with. Now he's a lawyer, and they are now alleged. Well, in June, July, there was a disciplinary hearing where they are alleging that he was in contact. I believe he was on a phone call, maybe a FaceTime. Sorry, I read it 2 days ago, so it might be out of there. But he was in contact with her the day she died. So is he going to be forced to give a DNA sample to figure out if he's the daddy? He claims he had nothing to do with her, and they're trying to set him up now. So interesting. I think I need maybe I need to go through it and make just a video on it. It's not. I'm not going to do a full show for it, but I'll probably make a video on it. Yes, Mangione, well, he didn't have 2 charges dropped, but the grand jury didn't think there was enough to put the terrorism enhancer on it, which I believe is correct, because it's murder. Yes. Was it terrorism? No, I don't believe so. I'm not a lawyer. How should I know? But one of the things that happened yesterday, I think it's one of your ministers, one who works in the cabinet, was out there talking about hate speech and how they're going to hurt that. That's the same thing Trump was against when he was running, but all of a sudden it's okay to be against it when it's people on your side who can use it. No, make sure you don't. It's the same as all of when people call me a misogynist or a racist or a Nazi or whatever they want to call me. You devalue the words, and I think if he had been charged with terrorism, it would be devaluing it. That's not what a terrorism charge should be against. Get him for murder, let him effing fry. And I know people out there, oh, he's a hero, he unalived someone. Well, your healthcare isn't going to get cheaper. Trust me. But there's a lot of people out there who works with healthcare that potentially could feel scared. So that's not the way to do it. And I don't think it's terrorism. That's taking it too far. And you might want to send a signal, but it's kind of like did the video on Kelsey this morning. Why throw her back in prison because she wants to comply with her terms, but she can't do it because she's in pain? Oh, all of a sudden she's a danger to society. She's not a danger to any society. She's never ever been violent before to anyone, and she's in house arrest with a GPS tracker. But the judge is just, no, I'm gonna upcharge this. Karen Reed, let's upcharge this case. How many cases do we cover where people are just upcharging it? And I think it's a big problem, and that's why I think it's a good idea the grand jury said, nope, it's not gonna fly with a terrorism enhancer. Well, we all know what would clear up the confusion if he's the papa. Well, that would just prove he was banging her like a lot of other guys, which I want to know who did it, and I want to see them all fry. I started this show today talking about how angry I was about these ladies banging kids out there. I'm just as angry as cops using their badge to bang kids. And and that's why I don't want any of these lousy DA replacements that we've heard about. I want a DA who says, I'm going to look into this because they used our program to groom a young 14-year-old girl. I'm going to figure out how many young prostitutes out there has been paying their way out of prison by roadhead or whatever they have to do. How many kids we had through our program has been used and is silent. That's the DA I want. No, I'm gonna make sure nothing happens in the future. Well, enough bad stuff happened in the past. Clean your house. I'm gonna run for DA in Massachusetts. Do I have to be a lawyer? Do I have to be a resident? Can I run from Denmark? Brandon, you're gonna be my campaign manager. What if you were charged with obesity? Well, I would be guilty as F because I am a fatto. But Brandon is going to be my campaign manager. And I'm running for DA in Norfolk County next year on what do you call it? A bipartisan ticket. And my promises is I make no promises other than we're going to get to the bottom of all of this BS that's been going on. We're going to get to the bottom of the Birchmore trial, the Garcia trial, the Karen Reed trial. Why the hell can't they figure out anything? How can these people be so inept and still have a job? Investigation. I'm going to go Serpico on all of these biatches. I'll have to figure that one out. But Brandon, figure out how we're going to run that show, and you'll be my campaign manager. You'll be the one who will have to hide all the indiscretions I will have at hotel rooms. And I was just meeting my constituents, and because she's a foreigner, we needed some Colombian translation powder. We're going to figure this one out. D.A. Baker, I like the sound of that. Come back in a couple of hours when we're going to end this shenanigans from the state today. Hopefully, somehow we'll figure out when they believe he unalived her. Or maybe we'll figure out he didn't do it, because I don't know what's going on right now. But come back later and everything will be A-OK. Why the hell did chat just die? I don't know. Did my stream die? No, a chat came back there. Yeah, Cheryl, you're right. Yes, go frolic, all of you, and come back later.
What exhibit are you referring to?
I'm going to make this 100, Your Honor.
All right.
100.
100.
Because it is 100%
100%.
correct.
So you literally built a cannon?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
All right, I'm in love. Go back. Please do that again. Oh, that was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
While I'm waiting for this, did you, whether it's true or not, believe that Mr. Randolph had slept with your wife?
I wouldn't care.
You wouldn't have cared?
No.
Did you believe he had slept with your wife?
No.
Did you believe he slept with your mother-in-law?
Probably did. Everybody has.
So there-
Everybody has.